Chapter 5597. Fortunately, he is more familiar with it and backs away fast enough. Otherwise, no matter how strong his physical body is, he will fall. Broly is stronger than he thought, or the defense is beyond his imagination. Not only can it resist the self-detonation of the universe, but can also imitate the universe that has collapsed to the extreme. The extreme explosion, although not as powerful as his one thought when the universe exploded, it was similar to 7 or 8. Jian Wushuang put away the package of Candle Dragon's wings, and the broken flesh in his chest recovered, and a blood shed from the corner of his mouth, slowly dripping from the sky. He gathered his strength again and wanted to reach the peak state, otherwise he was not Broly's opponent at all, but this time he had not succeeded in gathering his energy, and the opponent punched him straight to the door. It's faster. Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to dodge, he could only raise his hand to resist. The whole body was shaken back, and fell directly on the land like coke below. When he got up again, Broly was already in front of him, and the terrifying pressure made him breathless. After being passively beaten one after another, although he recovered quickly, he could not maintain that peak state. Under normal circumstances, he was simply not enough for the opponent Broly. That repressive force is stronger than any opponent he has encountered. A little distraction is about to fall. The void was torn through countless cracks by the white arc. Jian Wushuang took the opportunity to jump into the crack, and when he reappeared, he was already in the void. A large group of life force poured into the whole body. You also have an immortal body? Broly closed his fists and turned to look at Jian Wushuang in the void, a little surprised. Immortal? Jian Wushuang raised his jaw and said, "What do you think is the immortal body?" Until now, he understood why Broly's feeling of oppression was so strong. His defensive power is simply a metamorphosis level, and he can't kill it at all. And the power is terribly powerful. Apparently, he has realized the secret of the pinnacle. Otherwise, it's impossible to force it like this. Fighting again and again, constantly transforming, constantly surpassing. From Broly when he started with the 8-clawed Beast King, his strength has now been doubled. To deal with the strong of this kind of change, you need to be at least one level stronger than the opponent, otherwise you will not be able to win at all, because the opponent will become stronger as the battle becomes stronger. Broly's figure flashed, and he was also standing in the void, his pewter eyes staring at Jian Wushuang, his voice hoarse. "I haven't lost, naturally I am immortal." This is quite domineering. Haven't lost? Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank and he asked himself. He came from a weak point. Although he has won many times, he hasn't lost so much. Perhaps the opponent he met was too strong every time, and every time he was better than him by several levels. Just say that when he first met King Bai, he was a Taoist. What could he do to face the most powerful? Broly even said such words. It seems that he has not been hit. He drew out the Jueyun sword again, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "I have never lost this sword before. Today I will share the victory or defeat with you, as well as life and death." Star Catalog. The first sword. He did not lose. After all, it hadn't been long since he was created. He did not lose in the battle and extinction, but it was a pity that the opponent's deity appeared, and he could not help it. Broly looked at him, but was stunned for a while, playing with the taste. "I just want to win, I didn't want to kill you, it can be seen that you are just a Taoist." Jie Jie. Jian Wushuang looked up to the sky and let out a weird laugh. He had thought that some people disdain to kill him, just want to win. Is this a Taoist looking down on him? This kind of disdain is the only way he treats others from time to time, the kind of mercy that doesn't kill. Has anyone ever offered him alms? If the other party says that he will be broken into pieces, this is the greatest respect. Jian Wushuang slowly lowered his head, then glanced at it, staring at the invincible Broly, and said with a trembling voice, "Broly, do you know who killed your father?" Bukuin. When Broly heard his father, he obviously paused, his body trembling slightly. His father is more like a yoke that binds him, and his violent nature tends to restrain him a little bit. The feeling of treating his father made him very comfortable, although he came to the realm for the purpose of looking for his father's enemy. But he valued the battle again and again. Now when he heard his father again, his body was trembling, and his breath was declining. Broly raised his finger to Jian Wushuang, and the arc on his body disappeared, degenerating into a white arrogance. Yes, I killed your father, and Bukuin died in my hands. Jian Wushuang leaked a satisfied smile. He disdained to use this method to reduce the opponent's strength, just to make Broly angry. Let him understand that one of the two must have fallen today. Since the battle, he has also fallen into a frenzy of fighting. Ah! Broly suddenly hugged his head, arched his body and roared, as if there was a fierce beast raging in his body. Jian Wushuang was very excited about this. You reading www.ukanshu.com seemed that Broly was going crazy this time. Bukin's strength is too weak. When I killed him, I couldn't bear even one move. Jian Wushuang shook his head, his tone of disdain. Just like killing a trash, there is nothing worth talking about. Not a proud record. An ordinary fifth-order emperor can kill him by blowing his breath. Of course, all of this was fabricated by him, and Bukuin did die because of him, but he didn't kill him. He didn't take the other party seriously at all, but the situation had changed at that time. He didn't want his back path to be controlled by outsiders, and he had to kill the prince of the Maluo kingdom. Killing Bukuin was just incidental. Unexpectedly, today he attracted an extremely powerful opponent. Jian Wushuang really didn't regret it. No matter how powerful it is a pawn. Broly, who was struggling, gradually recovered. Although his hands were drooping and his head could not be lifted, the breath on his body was restored, and the white arc surrounding his body became more vigorous. A fierce beast phantom flew out of his body. This time it completely disappeared. Broly in full body. The pinnacle of change. At this moment, Broly's strength is comparable to Wuzhou. Even stronger than those messengers in the Temple of Forbidding God. Jian Wushuang. Broly slowly raised his head, not knowing if he was mad or why. He actually smiled with his mouth raised. Jian Wushuang. He clenched fists with both hands, leaned back, and his breath exploded again. Jian Wushuang couldn't open his eyes, with his hands in front of him. Finally, do you want to take it seriously? Jian Wushuang endured the storm and put down his hands to face Broly. Chapter 5598. He is very confident in the first sword in the Star Catalog. No matter how powerful Broly is, as long as this sword is born, everything will be destroyed. Let this emptiness turn into a starry sky portrait. Space and time must be squeezed into a painting. This sword is his greatest reliance. Are you ready? Jian Wushuang held the sword in one hand and slowly closed his eyes. He was feeling the power from the stars. There should be an end to the battle between the two. In a chaotic area extremely far away from the West Sea. Mo Luo and the others stood here, but the direction of the West Sea was a piece of scorched earth, which became the ruins of the battlefield. The strong man in the headquarters of the Earth Temple had already felt the strong aura of the fight, but no one came to watch or stop it. Bai Yi's clone was sitting on the temple, still holding a token in his hand. When Jian Wushuang and Broly had just fought, he received the news. Before he could go, Zhenling personally stopped him. At this time, a very subtle scene appeared in front of him. Bai Duan sat on the hall, but the true spirit was like a withered old man, standing at the door of the hall, looking into the distance. Master True Spirit, really want to give up Broly? Bai Yi was still a little bit reluctant, and his tone was also unwilling. After all, he is a powerhouse of Change Dao, and he has grown to this point now. Zhenling didn't answer, just shook his head, which is also an attitude. Obviously Bai Yi didn't know the truth. The truth of the extinction may not be known to the four main hall masters. It turns out that you are going to destroy the temple of Qixin. Zhenling said to himself. At the beginning, he guessed and guessed, constantly flipping through the timeline. No one could be found. Originally thought it was Jian Wushuang, but later felt that it was not. He shot Hui Qing and found the clues, starting with Jiang Shang. In the end, the extinction came, and he understood everything. It is not that others want to destroy the temple of Qixin, but he himself wants to destroy the temple of Qixin. Since the catastrophe was set at the beginning, Why bother to create the temple of Qixin and create him? He is also a pawn. You shouldn't believe him. Zhen Ling gritted his teeth and roared from the bottom of his heart. He has very little information on extinction. But it can also be found that the other party is not simple at all. At first he was the second strongest in Morwa time and space, a half-step 7 tribulations realm strong. Morwa time and space is a long river of medium time and space. It is very good to have a 7 tribulation realm powerhouse in countless times. With the appearance of the gods, many people originally thought that Morwo's time and space would expand and become a dazzling river of time and space in the starry sky. The result eventually died. Behind all this, I am afraid that there is a plan for extinction. Although I don't know what the other party promised to the original god, but looking at it now, the of the time clearly believed the other person. And the few people taken away by extinction are also very subtle. Among the 3 true kings that the Qixin abandoned the way of devouring, 2 of them are still alive, or from another perspective, both are still alive. Mountain King, Ancient King, Demon King. Shanjun's body was decomposed at the beginning, and besides Shanjun, 4 demon masters were separated. There were only 2 people who knew of the true spirit, and both were taken away by extinction. And Jiang Shang, this heaven-defying practitioner, appeared in the temple of Qixin. He had been on guard since Jiang Shang appeared. It didn't appear early, it didn't appear late, but it appeared now. Since Jiang Shang was also on the chessboard, Broly was probably the one who died. Among the 4 great secret realms, it is impossible to give birth to a strong robbery realm. The practitioners in the secret realm all have defects, and this cannot be changed. Unless it was he who took the initiative to transform the other party's origin. Neither Jiang Shang nor Brolita had ever been reformed. This is obviously a placed by extinction. Even if Jian Wushuang didn't make a move, he would personally get rid of Broly. But now that Jian Wushuang is taking action, some gossip can be subtracted. He didn't care about this in the past. Today is different from the past. The appearance of extinction is also good and evil. Not only will it threaten the current temple of Qixin, it may also threaten his status. What if the opponent has something to kick him out of the game? When the time comes, it will be unreasonable. Fortunately, he had the foresight and created the Palace of the Elders, holding the inheritors firmly in his own hands. Now the 4 halls, he didn't believe it anymore. Miexing cooperated with the deity back then. If Bai Yi and the people knew about this, I'm afraid they would really rebel and switch to Miexing. He has to wait now, wait for the extinction to come true. I am afraid that after the other party leaves, there is no movement, and it is him who is passive. If there is an accident, I will run away. Take the temple of Qixin to other time and space rivers. Exploring the 4 secret realms over and over again, as well as the entire interior of the Qixin temple. Junling never rest assured. On the battlefield of the West Coast, there is going to be a peak showdown. Jian Wushuang versus Broly. Now Jian Wushuang is standing at his peak again. His strength is comparable to that of an absolute powerhouse, which sword in his hand can kill the absolute peak. Broly has also reached the perfect body, the potential in the body is fully stimulated, and the change path is displayed to the peak. The combat power has reached the pinnacle of horror. Comparable to the ancient powerhouse like Wuzhua who has practiced for countless years. Jian Wushuang's figure began to flicker, and the speed was beyond imagination. The figure is obviously still in place, but the breath has reached the deepest part of the void. Starry Sky Catalog. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily, and Jueyun's sword lay in front of him, and the next moment he dived directly into Broly. The first sword. The sword's spirit is vast, and it tilts abruptly. Countless thoughts are trembling, space changes, time freezes. Broly clenched his fists with both hands and placed it on his waist. With his toes abruptly, he directly smashed the condensed space under his feet and rushed towards Jian Wushuang without any advance. Numerous waves of energy were condensed in his hands, and he kept throwing towards Jian Wushuang. It's just that the speed of the power condensed by these breaths is reduced, which is too slow for Jian Wushuang. Countless huge circular energies are frozen in the void, hanging like the sun and the moon. At the tip of the Jueyun sword, A little starry sky exploded, and the space began to twist from the tremor. Time completely freezes, and it freezes Broly's body. He still has too little control of time, and he can only comprehend some of the profound meanings in the first sword of the starry sky. All he can do is to freeze Broly in the void, and he cannot freeze the opponent's consciousness. So Broly can feel that his speed has slowed down, but his consciousness and thoughts are still moving fast. After being frozen, he burst out with a powerful aura again, trying to break the cage. The body is frozen, but the mind is still there. He escaped from the physical body, and the divine body rushed out with the original source. This scene shocked Jian Wushuang. Two Broly appeared in the frozen void. One is a dim body, who has been abandoned by Broly, and the opponent is very decisive when he arrives. Chapter 5599. But it is the same now, without the physical body, it is impossible to stop him by virtue of the divine body. Cut! Jian Wushuang once again exhausted his whole body strength, turning the direction and rushing towards Broly's divine body. The majestic divine body is not constrained by time. Broly also knows that there is no physical presence. He is very fragile now and must break the prohibition here as soon as possible. Although only the divine body is left, the power of each punch still has the highest strength, and it is smashed with one punch, and the void is constantly shattered. In front of Broly, the frozen void was like mirrors. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank, and if this continued, he couldn't attack Broly at all. In addition, the power consumed by this sword was too great, and he couldn't drag the opponent down. Broly, can you only hide? Jian Wushuang was furious, and could only anger the opponent with words, and yelled, "You are not worthy of being a monk or a qualified warrior. You have forgotten Bukun's teachings. Take out all your strength and fight me head-on." Confrontation, he is invincible. This sword is invincible. Broly's eyes changed from white wax to blood red, and the white arc on his body also turned blood. The breath is advancing by leaps and bounds again. This breath made Jian Wushuang feel familiar and terrified. He knows a lot about the powers of the Tribulation Realm, and he has also looked at several powers of the Tribulation Realm, such as Fuegon and other superpowers in the Six Tribulations realm. He was so familiar with that breath. Broly could still explode, which he did not expect. This time the aura was already comparable to Tribulation Realm. With the sword on the string, he couldn't control that much anymore. Now even if the leaned over Broly, he would rush over and cut the opponent. This is the only chance. Every time there is only one chance left, he will ask himself in his heart, if this is the last chance in his life, how he can exert his strength beyond his own and win the opponent. If it can't be taken, he will fall. So he must win. Jianjian freezes the void, freezes the time. Now in this void, only the gods of him and Broly can move. Broly transformed again, and after stepping into another realm, there was no violent anger, but a trace of calmness. Facing his strongest sword, he didn't dodge to hide, but faced each other. This is in his arms. The Jueyun sword came in an instant, turning into hundreds of millions of miles in size, facing Broly. The other party wanted to hide now. There was no chance. Jian Wushuang seemed to have seen Broly's fall through time. But at this moment, in the headquarters of the Earth Realm Temple, the true spirit suddenly confused the gods, yelling badly, and rushed towards Jian Wushuang in a hurry. The true spirit shuttles at will in the four great secret realms, and it only takes one breath to reach Jian Wushuang's position. But for the peak power, a breath is still a bit slow. The first sword, become. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed. This time, he had a lot of insights into the complete display, and the first sword was truly perfected to a perfect state. The space within 1,000,000 miles around turned into a portrait, leaving only a fresh life for him. Broly's breath can no longer be felt. In the portrait, Broly has red hair and a red arc flashing on his body. He stretched out in one hand to pinch Jian Wushuang's Jueyun sword. Really arrogant. Jian Wushuang looked at this scene with disdain in his heart. It's too much to underestimate the power of the starry sky if he tried to block him with in vain. Looking down at his masterpiece, Jian Wushuang was very satisfied. It's just that his Jueyun sword also fell into the portrait this time, becoming a dead thing. But it's not a big deal, he can use the power of life to take it out. It's not difficult. Just as he was about to divide the picture scroll and prepare to accept it, the space that was frozen in the picture scroll began to tremble. Jian Wushuang glanced around in surprise. The next moment his chest burst, and a big hand appeared in front of him at some unknown time. When he reacted and wanted to mobilize the power of life to replenish himself, death had already come, and his power of life was firmly suppressed in the source. That crazy force of death is still devouring his life force. Jian Wushuang opened his mouth and his eyes widened. Life is constantly losing. It's Broly. In other words, it is extinction. Miexing took control of Broly, suddenly shattered his Starry Sky catalog, took the opportunity to sneak attack, and penetrated his chest in one fell swoop. The Candle Dragon's inner armor was completely shattered and turned into fragments. Without a complete source of the Beast God weapon can easily be crushed by a strong robbery. It's easy to resist the extremity, but his face is extinction. The super existence that can confront the true spirit deity head-on. He wanted to transmit the true spirit, but he couldn't do it. This time it was his turn to despair completely. That touch of death power madly swallowed his life. In a trance, he also understood. No wonder, he will evolve from the power of all things to the power of life, and it turns out that he has relative power. You reading www.akanshu.com. I have now become a stepping stone for others. Space can be combined with time to form space and time. Life combined with death can also form reincarnation. This is not a simple reincarnation, just like Hui Qing has mastered the Zen machine, it is reincarnation. Now he has caught a glimpse of the true meaning of reincarnation. That is a complete reincarnation. One level with time and space. That is the power beyond the tribulation realm. Is a shortcut to a higher level. Jian Wushuang understood at this moment. However, he discovered that even though the power of death could suppress him, the power contained in it was not as powerful as the extinct deity. Relatively, it is also mutual. If the power of death in the six tribulations realm erodes the power of life, I am afraid that it will be empty, and the opponent is just a group of death power of the highest level. He still has hope. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang used the last thought, went to the sea of his own origin, and condensed into an incarnation. At this time, the sea of his origin, the waves rolled. When his avatar appeared, he happened to see the force of death. The condensed avatar of the life force is the same as the deity's appearance, except that the body exudes a green aura. After the force of death discovered Jian Wushuang's incarnation, he twisted for a while and turned into Jian Wushuang's appearance, only black. Jie, you can't stop me. Black Jian Wushuang sneered. Jian Wushuang shot directly, this place is the sea of his origin, can he be threatened by an outsider? You are trying to swallow me in vain. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily and started directly. The two only used their pure power to fight, and they didn't want to fight to the death like the deity, and the secret method was rampant. Chapter 5600. The Purest Death and the Purest Life. This time Jian Wushuang became stronger in Vietnam. It was the fear of death and the desire to treat life. The power of death is different. Can you hear that it's better to die than to live? Jian Wushuang didn't forget his words when he was free. Although death is terrible, it brings fear to people. But the resilience of the life force cannot be exerted without facing death. Now that he is dying head-on, the life force has completely exploded. Give it to me, get out. Jian Wushuang smashed the force of death with a fist, then a flash appeared behind the opponent, and another upper knee, directly condensing the force of death to the figure, completely dispelling it. Jian Wushuang, who was holding a rough air, slowly turned his head, and found that the black aura had turned into his appearance in a blink of an eye. People are mortal, and some people need a little help. This is a response to him. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and sneered, I don't need your help because my helper has arrived, outside world. The powerful breath of the true spirit suddenly descended. Extinction, you have crossed the line. An invisible giant hand directly pulled the power of death from Jian Wushuang's body directly through Jian Wushuang. Nei Jian Wushuang in the Sea of Origins breathed a sigh of relief. When the force of death was torn away, a small black snake fell into the sea, and no one noticed it. Jian Wushuang's incarnation directly feeds himself back, completely recovering from his injuries. It's just that the inner armor of the candle dragon is over, and there are some fragments left. I don't know if it can be repaired. Having just finished using the Starry Sky catalog, he is now the weakest. Although there is no injury on his body, he cannot mobilize the power of the Starry Sky and cannot enter the strongest state. Now he has only barely reached the fighting power of the Fifth Order Emperor. If there is no power from the Starry Sky, I am afraid that he will have the same combat power, so he can fight for the Sixth Order Emperor with the help of his divine body. Nie Yuan really gave him a piece of Kuei Bao. Zhenling turned his head and glanced at Jian Wushuang, completely shattering the power of death in his hand. Take this person and get out. The true spirit has never been so angry. Because of the extinction, it has seriously interfered with the inside of the Qixin Temple. Moreover, the power in Jian Wushuang's body is the opposite of mission, which is probably part of the plan. The extinct deity did not completely come, but the power of death remaining in Broly's body was at work. From Broly's origin, a dark shadow appeared. It is extinction. You found all of this. Miesheng leaked a smile, and then a black halo covered Broly with a wave of his hand. Broly's divine body and physical body reunited, but now he fell into a deep sleep. Zhenling stood in front of Jian Wushuang, staring at all this without saying anything. Jian Wushuang was a little unwilling and said, "My lord, you can't let them go. It's better to kill the Dharmakaya of Broly and Miesheng. Wouldn't it be a pity to let him go like this? Little guy, a Broly will scare you." Miesheng cast a bad look. Broly's change really scared Jian Wushuang to pick it up. Jiang Shang was abnormal enough and couldn't let go of another enemy. Zhenling shook his head and said, "Before I don't regret it, let's go quickly." It's not that the true spirit is soft-hearted, but he can't make the move first. A will in my heart firmly suppressed him. It was a huge fragment of memory, a fragment of the goddess. This has not yet merged that piece of fragment. It can interfere with his consciousness. If it is merged, I am afraid that the current temple of the gods is already in charge. Miesheng also saw the true face of the true spirit entangled, and reminded, "You are the true spirit of the Salvo Hall, and part of the gods, don't forget." This can be regarded as a mistake in the original plan between him and the god. Unexpectedly, when the true spirit appears, there will be independent consciousness. Otherwise, the plan will be even smoother than it is now. It is precisely because of the independent consciousness that the true spirit really hated the way of swallowing and hated Jian Wushuang at the beginning. Miesheng took Broly and walked away in the channel opened by the true spirit. The channel eventually healed again. The extinction that left the Temple of Qixin appeared on the top of the universe. At the foot is a circular universe, standing on a huge celestial body, the extinct law body cursed. Because this place is not a primitive universe, and even the Temple of Qixin is not a long river of time and space. The two of them had just appeared, and a team of foreign powerhouses wearing strange armors moved in this direction. This time and space can be more powerful than the long river of time and space where the original universe is located. Even more powerful than the original Morwa time and space several times. Wait, fellow Dao. The extinct law body has a back, instantly raising its power to the tribulation realm, and I want to talk to this team of experts. The leading scorpion woman wearing a purple armor swayed her tail. She was a superb scorpion race. After discovering that extinction is a realm, there is no trace of fear, but a bit of fun. You dare to break into my scorpion human race's nest-covering universe? You are so bold. These powerful patrols of them are all emperors. It doesn't mean that there are no strong people in the robbery realm, and they are here. When the extinction was just discovered, there was a strong man who exceeded the 5 tribulations realm, and he began to descend. A huge shadow enveloped everyone. Subordinates pay homage to the general. After sending away the extinction, Zhenling's complexion eased a bit. It was not all because of the memory fragments in his body interfering with him just now, but the backlash that he opened up a channel to other time and space, which brought him back. This was also an experiment, so I took Broly to practice with Mieshing. There shouldn't be any problems with maintaining the channel between two people. But this is not enough. It is impossible to send away the Temple of Fortune God, but he can send away several trusted inheritors in the Temple of Fortune God, and he can still do it. For example, Jian Wushuang right now. Jian Wushuang, have you ever thought of leaving here? Zhenling's sudden words shocked Jian Wushuang. Thinking that Zhenling didn't want him anymore, he hurriedly bowed to show his loyalty. Okay, I didn't mean that. Right now you have also seen that the extinction is for you, and the Temple of Qixin is not important anymore. Zhenling told the truth. Jian Wushuang could also feel it. After all, it was the road of reincarnation, comparable to the road of time and space. If this is to allow extinction to succeed Qixin Temple, it really doesn't matter. No one knows what will become of the strength of extinction at that time. After Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief, he respectfully said, "It's all up to the adults to decide. After joining the Tao, I will give you a chance after joining the Tao, and then I will leave the Temple of Qixin for a while." Zhenling said slowly with his hands behind his back. Now Jian Wushuang's strength, although he has the ability to protect himself when traveling to other time and space, it is still too weak. At least you must go out after the success of the harmony. Chapter 5601. Jian Wushuang knew in his heart that after he joined forces, the true spirit of the calculation would not let him out. He wanted to go out for a while. Now it is to his liking. After making the plan, Jian Wushuang asked again with doubts, "My lord, if you go out, wouldn't it be right to meet extinction? The current extinction is in the primitive universe. Even if he travels to the long river of time and space, he may not be able to escape the palm of his hand. Unless you leave this long river of time and space. I will send you to other time and space rivers, but the more powerful time and space rivers. When you go there, you don't need to have any worries. Strive to enter some powerful forces. The stronger the better. With your talent, it should be no problem. It's to explore the way for the Temple of Qixin." After understanding the layout of the extinction, the true spirit no longer dared to plunder the tester from the outside world. If he cultivated a few more chess pieces, he would just lose his wife and break down. Jian Wushuang nodded when he heard it. There was no problem with this. Going to a stronger time and space, maybe if you are lucky, you can still reach the time and space of Teacher Xianyi. Work hard. There is not much help that Qixin Temple can give. You will need to work hard in the future. Zhenling left after a few words of encouragement. Jian Wushuang was left standing alone. Zhenling's last words were humble. The treasures of the Qixin Temple are far more than these. He just got a source of everything. After Mo Luo found that there was no movement, he rushed to this side for the first time and found Jian Wushuang still alive, and he was relieved. "Young master." Mo Luo respectfully stood aside. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and said, "Get a flying treasure, go to the nearest teleportation formation, and return to the heavens. The boundary is considered complete. I am afraid there will be nothing to miss in the future. Going back to the heavens early to prepare for harmony is the key. With the origin of all things, he can raise the power of life to a new level, and the realm of black holes can also break through in one fell swoop." The two went to the boundary in a high-key manner, and finally left in a low-key manner. The outside world also left a seed for Jian Wushuang. The mighty long river of time and space. The vast starry sky. Hidden too many secrets, he wants to explore one by one, looking for Teacher Xuanyi to solve the unsolved mystery. Before embarking on a new journey, he still needs a lot of preparation. After returning to the heavens, without any hesitation, he went straight to the Senate Palace. The last time he left the Senate Palace, he was beaten away by Wuzhua. This time Wuzhua and the three palace owners personally greeted him. And Wuzhua was at the forefront because of his closest relationship. Although the two hadn't met for a few days, the other party still showed a look they hadn't seen in many years, and excitedly welcomed Jian Wushuang's return. The three palace masters even put their stature to the lowest. Even Changfeng Sword God was all smiles, knowing that Jian Wushuang killed his own brother. Forgot after so little time? But it's right to think about it, since the plan for that time has been fully revealed. The sword Changfeng hates Wuzhua as well, and will never resent Jian Wushuang. And he didn't believe that Jian Wushuang could kill Tai San. I'm afraid that Wuzhua shot secretly. Now he is very passive. Among the three palace masters, Qing Niu still made money as before. He didn't lose, and when others lost, he still didn't lose. Always stand in a neutral position. Palace Master Lu Hua was the right treasure. This time he was the most happy. On the first day of return, entertainment is inevitable. Some acquaintances in the Senate also came to congratulate. Qiu Huang, the old man with horns, and those ancient fifth-order emperors of the primitive universe. But now it's not as simple as the fifth-order emperor. Following Wan Yen, Dongxing and him, there are also several fifth-order emperors who have also entered under the three bridges where the demon god general is seated, and have received quite a lot of goods. Many have entered the sixth-order emperor. Wan Yen and Dongxing, who were the first to enter, entered the sixth-order emperor even earlier. However, these people all admire Jian Wushuang. A Taoist monarch can kill Tai San. As for the battle between the human realm and the earth realm, it had been blocked long ago, and they didn't even know it. It still stays at the level of Jian Wushuang beheading the sixth-order emperor. If they knew that Jian Wushuang could kill even Zhu Dian now, he didn't know what he would think. I'm sorry everyone, the origin of everything in the North Watchtower. Jian Wushuang also rarely pretended to be confused for a while, and talked about this matter. The North Tower was originally a holy place for all practitioners, because he is about to stop now. After Dongxing heard it, he stood up and said, Wushuang Taoist friends do not want to say, the strong is respected, this is what you deserve, and you also personally committed the risk, completely eradicating that. The base camp of the Shadow Sect, so much credit plus your strength, all of this is what you should have got. There is nothing right or wrong. Dongxing is right, Brother Wushuang, I stand by you. Wan Yen also followed. Those veterans who had a good relationship with Jian Wushuang also spoke. In fact, the origin of everything, he doesn't need to swallow all of it, only half is needed, but the remaining half is useless. The North Watch Tower had to stop. Seeing the sincerity of these people, Jian Wushuang waved his big hand, said, Everyone, I would like to take out 1/3 of the origin of everything and reward everyone. Since pretending to be confused, simply be generous for a while. He ate meat and let these people drink some soup. After everyone heard it, naturally they were not hypocritical, and they were overjoyed. 1/3 of the origin of everything, that's a lot. It is distributed to everyone, which is more than what you can get by breaking through a dozen or so floors of the North Watchtower. Jian Wushuang got up and said, Now I'm going to divide it. He is so selfless this time, and he has some selfishness in his heart. After he got together, he was leaving. Leave the universe that protects him, leave the temple of Qishan. In the outside world now, apart from the true monarch who was suppressed, there is also extinction. I don't know if the original universe can survive. According to his guess, the passage of Daanhuan is in the Daisai domain. If extinction follows the passage and enters the divine power universe, I am afraid that the home world will be over. Even if Mieshing disdained to do this, I am afraid that after the true monarch breaks free from the restriction, he will swallow the primitive universe wildly, and it will be finished by then. In the future, these people will have to guard the primitive universe. Now it's okay to take advantage of it and treat it a bit. Speaking of Jingnong, Jian Wushuang led everyone directly to the North Tower. There will be no chance in the future. Everyone has no confidence to break through, you can go and try. Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry, and there was nothing to do a few years later. After everyone heard it, their hands were really itchy, and they entered the North Watch Tower one after another. Even if there is no number of times, Jian Wushuang also gave the opponent the number of times to break through the level and enter at will. Anyway, the origin of everything is his, and the three palace masters naturally have no opinion. The veteran who guarded this place sighed in his heart when he looked at Jian Wushuang, who was full of spirits. Chapter 5602. Once an ordinary to no more ordinary tester, from the end to the peak. Thinking back to the meeting when he had just entered the temple of Qishan, he was only the third-rank Dayan immortal, and now he has become a peerless Daojun. Compared with other Taoists who are more against the sky, his advancement speed may not be too fast, but the increase in combat power can definitely be ranked in the forefront. Now his true combat power can be cut with a single sword. Among the inheritors, only Shang can be compared with him. When Shang entered the temple of Qishan, he was already the fifth-order ultimate emperor. After Jian Wushuang joins the Tao, he will become the true number 1 inheritor, the undisputed number 1 regardless of potential or strength. Familiar figures entered the North Tower. Most of the inheritors here are powerhouses above Tier 4 monarchs. After those fifth-order emperors entered the temple of Qishan, many people now go to the Tomb God Mountain. They go quickly and come back quickly. After all, the resources of the Tomb Mountain are limited, and it is impossible to leave so many inheritors at the same time. Survival of the fittest. Wu's figure walked out of the North Tower, with some smiles leaking out of his face. 75 floor, over. Congratulations, Brother Wuzwa. Jian Wushuang nodded. Wuzwa didn't change his face and said loudly, compared with you, it's still a little far behind. I only broke through the 5th floor. No one can break your record so far. I'm lucky too. Jian Wushuang said modestly. Now he is facing harmony and gradually begins to calm down. In the past fierce, now introverted. This is also the performance of accumulating. Don't you try? Wuzwa asked curiously. He knew that Jian Wushuang's strength was not that simple. When he killed Tai San, Jian Wushuang already had the power of a Tier 6 top emperor. Now that so many years have passed, I am afraid that the combat power has reached the 6th order peak. In the North Tower, it is possible to reach the 60th floor. Don't worry, let them play first. Jian Wushuang didn't care. It may be helpful for others to rush to the North Tower, but for him, it has no effect. The origin of everything belongs to him. Now his demand for the origin of all things is not so great. After he becomes the emperor, the condensed origin of all things will probably be no weaker than all things in the universe. More importantly, he holds the power of life, which is stronger than the origin of all things. Swish. The ranking of the North Watchtower is constantly changing. Because it was the last time the North Watchtower was opened, everyone worked hard, and many people successfully broke through. There is also an acquaintance of Jian Wushuang, who even broke through the 3 levels, refreshed his own record, and also refreshed the record of the 5th order emperor. Ji Chaoyang. The proud young man who met on the primordial star is now a powerful 5th order ultimate emperor. Although he is not the ultimate way to perfection, he is also the ultimate emperor who succeeded in joining the Tao when he reached the 8th floor. He is the same as Shang level. The least achievement in the future is also an absolute strong. Moreover, he really got the inheritance of the gods on the Tomb Mountain, and he is now a candidate for the gods. My son is extremely talented. A middle-aged man who looks very similar to Ji Chaoyang. He said nothing, boasting about Ji Chaoyang's performance in the North Tower with his friends next to him. This person is the original universe, the emperor of the Ji family dynasty, originally just a 4th order emperor, now he is the 5th order peak emperor. Ji-san, you gave birth to a good son. Many people came forward to congratulate. Someone sighed in the corner. Jian Wushuang spotted the sighing 5th order peak emperor at a glance. The father of God Emperor Mo Long? In Primordial Star, Jian Wushuang faced his strongest opponent, Mo Long. At that time, the opponent was absolutely powerful and treasure beyond imagination. It's a pity that he fell in the battle of the devouring demon siege. Otherwise, it is also a 4th order emperor, or even a 5th order emperor. Fight chance. All will fall, no one can blame this. Jian Wushuang also stepped forward, congratulating Ji Chaoyang. The relationship between the two is pretty good. Brother Wushuang. Ji Chaoyang was also very excited. The 5th order emperor had reached the 57th floor. Already have Tier 6 top combat power. Jian Wushuang patted the opponent on the shoulder and said, Step into the Sixth Order Emperor early, and you will have the opportunity to go to the secret realm together in the future. Well, when the time comes, pull Huiqing up, let's be together. Ji Chaoyang just said, thinking of something, the joy on his face also pulled down. Huiqing is now sent to the Tomb Mountain by Zhenling, still asleep. It is not so easy to wake up. The injury was too serious. After all, it is not bad to resist the palace master Qinglong. It will be good to be alive. It will take a while to recover, but I don't know if true spirit has that kind of grudge against Huiqing. Ji Chaoyang's father was even more delighted to see that his son had a very good relationship with Jian Wushuang, the man of the day. Now Jian Wushuang is in control of the origin of everything, and he is willing to give them 1/3 of the old guys. Of course, he has to flatter himself. Jian Wushuang nodded, replied, "It will." As for the origin of everything, of course it is equally divided. Since it is wooing people, it must be fair. Otherwise, it will be counterproductive. In the future, the original universe will change, and those who are less powerful will have complaints even if they let them desperately. In one day, millions of inheritors and indigenous emperors all made it through, and they were all promoted to the extreme. Some people even made it several times in a row, completely squeezing their own potential. Everyone is waiting for Jian Wushuang in a tacit understanding. One is to wait for Jian Wushuang to divide the origin of everything, and the other is to see Jian Wushuang make another breakthrough. Back then, it was rumored that Jian Wushuang had cut triathlon, and they all assumed that Wu Zuo was secretly engaged in the ghost, but now it is the best verification. It was the sword Changfeng who was most embarrassed. Regardless of whether Jian Wushuang broke through or not, he was extremely embarrassed. He broke through, proving that Jian Wushuang did kill Tai San by his own hands. "Everyone, give me 1/4 of an hour." Jian Wushuang's breath suddenly rose, and his robe flew like a devil. "This is the last time I rushed to the North Tower." When he first rushed in, he realized the power of life. He still values the North Watchtower. Maybe there will be some surprises this time. I wish Wushuang brother another success. Everyone watched Jian Wushuang enter the teleportation formation of the North Tower, and they were all waiting. Dongsheng even made a huge case out of thin air, flipped his hand and took out 100 squares of universe crystal and patted it on the case, saying loudly, "Everyone, I can beat Wushuang brother, I can break 10 more layers." He said this, although some people were taken aback first, but fortunately, Wanyan cooperated well and immediately jumped out. "Then I will beat brother Wushuang, no more than 10 floors. After speaking, he also took out 100 square cosmic crystals. Chapter 5603. The eyes of everyone watching this scene are enthusiastic. That is the universe crystal. The ordinary Sixth Order Emperor can't take it out at all, only Zhu Dian has it. Only some Sixth Order Emperors among the inheritors took the shot. Upon seeing this, Wu Zuo directly took out 1,000 square cosmic crystals, attracting countless enviable eyes. "I will play with you too." The 3 palace masters all ended. Some powerful Sixth Order Emperors didn't hesitate to take out universe crystals one after another to play with them. After all, it's a lifetime. There is still something to be pressed, now it is over 10 layers, but there are twice the odds. Dongxing was very happy. After so many cosmic crystals, how could he not prepare? I've asked Jian Wushuang privately if he can exceed 10 floors. Jian Wushuang had already traversed more than 50 floors and added 10 more, but it was more than 60, and he had absolute strength. In the eyes of some people, this is simply impossible. In addition to Dongxing, these Sixth Order peak emperors, and the absolute top. On the other side, for the weaker Fifth Order emperors, they also opened a handicap. This move is so lively. Compared with the outside world, there is deathly tranquility in the North Tower. The black-robed man with 6 sharp knives in his hand could not move and was frozen again. This time, Jian Wushuang carefully observed the all-thing star and finally killed the opponent's soul with a sword. 55 floors, 56 floors, 57 floors. Except for the number 1, everyone just blinked. Only one sword can solve the opponent. How could you? After several breaths, Jian Wushuang had already stepped into the 60th floor. It has already represented the ultimate combat power. The current Jian Wushuang, under normal circumstances, can burst out of the first to the top of the battle power. With the help of the power of the starry sky, it can reach the top of the top for a short time. In the normal state, Jian Wushuang could reach the 63rd floor. Outside world. From noisy to deposition. Everyone held their breath. After another level, the emperors who could not break through 10 levels with Jian Wushuang were about to go bankrupt. Ding. The number next to Jian Wushuang's name changed again. 64th floor passed. Jian Wushuang's strongest combat power under normal conditions could only barely reach this level. But this is not the end. Clenched fists with both hands, and thought to touch the mysterious starry sky. A vast force came in an instant, lifting his breath to the extreme. This is based on Broly's changes and improved. There are also secrets contained in the eternal changes. He created a starry sky catalog, so he can't just do it with a sword. So use this trick to improve yourself through the power in the star catalog. Although it was short, it was able to increase his strength several times. In the light blue starry sky, extremely powerful, and the superficial power surrounding Jian Wushuang's body can produce an electric arc that extinguishes the void. Now Jian Wushuang is no longer as simple as an absolute top. If you use the universe, I'm afraid you will be able to enter the peak state for a short time. You still have a backhand. The Guardian was about to collapse. When he met Jian Wushuang for the first time, he was ravaged. He wanted to get it back later, but Jian Wushuang didn't give him a chance at all. After such a long time, I finally waited until Jian Wushuang entered the North Tower again, but it turned out to be continuously crushed just after he entered. And this time, Jian Wushuang's realm remained unchanged. He was still a Taoist. Exit! Jian Wushuang pointed out, and an aurora shot directly killed the opponent. Only 6 sharp knives fell to the ground. The space changes again. To maintain this peak state, there is probably only a stick of incense time. These times are enough for him to reach the 70th floor. At this time, the outside spectators were already surprised and couldn't close their mouths from ear to ear. Is this Dao Monarch? Dong Sheng himself felt incredible. Although he knew that Jian Wushuang could enter the 60th floor, he did not expect Jian Wushuang to be so perverted that he broke through to the 70th floor in one fell swoop. He suddenly regretted that he had long known whether Jian Wushuang would be able to break through the 15th floor. The 3 palace owners felt incredible. A Taoist monarch can actually be comparable to the best. This is the real leap. It's a big step. In ancient times, I have never heard of such a peerless figure. If the great Emperor Jueyun was a mountain that couldn't be crossed in the top of the mountain, then Jian Wushuang was a mountain in the eyes of Dao Jun. At present, the most heaven-defying ultimate Taoist of the 2 mountain, it is not bad to be comparable to the 5th order emperor, but Jian Wushuang can be comparable to the absolute peak, and even has the ultimate peak of combat power. Iron Sword is even more frizzy. Fortunately, he is more aware of current affairs. Not to mention how strong Jian Wushuang will be after he Dao, I am afraid that he can be killed now. Among the 3 palace masters, the only one who can compare with Jian Wushuang is Qingyo. Although Palace Master Lu Hua's strength is not bad, it may be a problem that he can't reach the 70th floor. If you can say that Jian Wushuang can stabilize the pressure, it will be nothing. It's still going on. Ji Chaoyang was even more excited, and couldn't help but reminded, Brother Wushuang, still rushing. 71 floor. This time, it's not that easy. Jian Wushuang's breath continued to decrease, and the time to maintain his peak state was approaching. When he was not a last resort, he didn't want to use any sword. I thought you could not use up your power. The guardian of the black robe, the 6 sharp knives used without flaws, directly suppressed Jian Wushuang. Although ridiculed, he had to admit that this was the greatest Taoist he had ever seen. It was even more against the sky than the great Emperor Jueyun back then. The Emperor, at any rate, has mastered the origin of space. If it was recognized by the origin of time in advance, it would indeed be against the sky, but Jian Wushuang, a Taoist monarch, could achieve this level. No one can guarantee that he is not the next Jueyun Great Emperor. Perhaps, the next time Jian Wushuang came, he would really be able to keep going. The 99th floor will be cleared sooner or later. Broken! Jian Wushuang roared, and directly drew out the Jueyun sword, pierced 6 sharp knives with one sword, and directly shook the opponent apart. He was panting at the same time. In fact, according to his combat power, he could reach the 73rd or even the 74th floor. However, there is too little time to maintain this peak state. Every time you pass the level, there will be a short stay time, which wastes a lot of energy. On the 71st floor, the journey was a bit unsuccessful, even a little reluctant. But on the 72nd floor, Jian Wushuang had absolute confidence, and one sword would pass. One trick, eat all over the sky. He really never lost this sword. The time he dealt with Broly, if it hadn't been extinct, he would have cut Broly a long time ago. The space on the 73rd floor hadn't arrived yet. Jian Wushuang directly chose to admit defeat. Time to leave. After using which sword, he no longer has any backhand. As for Yin Universe, it is still useful in the first few layers, and the follow-up help is not big. After Jian Wushuang left, the Guardian was shocked. At the Sword of 72, he didn't have any power to fight back and was completely crushed. Chapter 5604. Even at the 7th or 5th floor, he might not be able to take any sword. The first sword of the Star Catalog, after all, was able to slay a strong man like Broly. At that time, Broly was already able to rival Wuzhou. After 72 floors, there is no problem naturally. After returning to the main hall, countless people looked at them, shocked and incredible in their eyes. From now on, no one would dare to question Jian Wushuang. If you add a time limit, I am afraid that after countless epochs or in another era, someone will remember Jian Wushuang's name. Invincible Dao Jun. The origin of all things has been divided into millions of shares, and he has also achieved everyone's share. Distributing to those strong, although some are not enough, but for the 5th Order Emperor and the 4th Order Emperor, it is a great opportunity. While grateful to Jian Wushuang in their hearts, they are also working hard towards Jian Wushuang. Before Jian Wushuang retreats, he also talked a lot with Dong Sheng's veteran powerhouses and talked about the current situation in the primitive universe. Let them always pay attention. He knows a lot, but he can say very little. He just threatened the Demon Lord to say it again. In case the other party really unlocked the restriction ahead of time, then there would be no Tribulation Realm in the Qixin Temple, but it would be embarrassing and could only watch the Demon Lord go to slaughter and devour it. But according to the true spirit, among the 3 true kings, the Mountain King disintegrated and the Demon King was suppressed. The strength has dropped a lot, and the strongest is the ancient monarch who was suppressed in the depths of the first prison. His strength is preserved intact, at least 6 Calamity Realm combat power. Even if the demon ruler releases the restriction, I am afraid that the 3 Tribulations realm would be considered good. But even so, no one is an opponent in the Temple of Qixin now. The true spirit couldn't get out at all, and the law body that got out was too weak. The Zhuangzhong who took refuge in the true spirit was only in a catastrophe state, and his strength was not enough. They have to rely on these inheritors. In addition to the threat on the surface, there is also the extinction. The opponent came for his life force. The collision of death and life, the plans of countless epochs, are all for him. He has to be more careful. After returning to the familiar Dongfu, it was empty. Jian Wushuang crossed his knees on the futon at random and began to count the treasures available to him. There are many treasures that can quickly improve his strength, and all of these can be used. The stronger the strength, the more sure. Universe Crystal, 300,000 square meters. Jian Wushuang nodded. In front of him, a high mountain appeared, and the whole body was cosmic crystal. Originally intended to swallow these cosmic crystals, but after having the origin of all things, it would be faster to swallow the origin. These cosmic crystals are hard-won, and it will not be too late to wait for him to become the emperor. 2/3 of the origin of everything. A magnificent source, the source of the original of all things. The origin of the 6 Tribulations realm powerhouse. It's his now. He is very close to the realm of the black hole, and swallowing these origins is enough for him to break through. He stretched out one hand and gently touched the origin of all things. His spiritual knowledge opened up, and the vastness of all things went directly into the body. In just an instant, his body swelled in a circle. This source is too pure. Jian Wushuang couldn't take it anymore, and stopped quickly. The origin of all things was moved directly into the sea of his origin. It would take a long time to swallow the origin, and he couldn't waste this time. It would be nice to be responsible for devouring a clone. He has more important things to do. The chess record, the Guantian chessboard, and the inheritance of the first true king need to wait for him to practice after he arrives at the emperor, but this is not in a hurry. Right now, he needs to comprehend the power given to him by the Starry Sky Atlas. The power of the stars. This is not the power of Jidao, but the power of Kendo. Star Kendo. This can be regarded as Nie Yuan's inheritance. In other words, Nie Yuan got the Starry Sky inheritance and gave it to him. It's just a pity that Nie Yuan's strength and potential are too weak, which sword directly caused Nie Yuan to die. If he had his strength, I am afraid it would not fall. Even if he can use which sword he can use now, the backlash that it can bring requires him to stop for an hour, not only to replenish his life force. This was because he had mastered the power of life. If he didn't have the power of life, I am afraid that he would die just like Nie Yuan's fate. He didn't grasp the power of the Starry Sky at all, just borrowed it or even used it stealthily. Naturally, it will be backlashed. Moreover, the power of the Starry Sky, with its own origin of time and space, is very difficult for him to bear. Let alone the two together. The first sword. Jian Wushuang used his swordsmanship in mind, and with a sword out, his whole body languished. This time, he was directly backlashed and seriously injured. The power of mind alone cannot mobilize this power at all. No, the realm is still too bad. Let's try again after the black hole realm. Jian Wushuang shook his head. His current realm is indeed too low. The power of the Starry Sky is simply not understood. Simply creating a sword is only with a little power. The power of the Starry Sky when upgrading oneself is even more crude. Kendo still needs to be released. Otherwise, he will fall into his own hands no matter how he plays. It is better to study first how to use the power of the Starry Sky in oneself. You read the book www.akanshu.com and then go dedicated to Kendo. Previously, he had done it the other way around. First, he used the power of the Starry Sky on the sword, and then used it on himself. Mind force moved. A group of weak Starry Sky power appeared at the fingertips, and at a glance, there was no boundary in sight. With his eyes now, he can see space carefully, and even his thoughts can perceive time. But he couldn't see through the power of the Starry Sky. Although it is only a trace, a small group of cohesion. Jian Wushuang saw a huge universe from it. Looking closer, the universe continues to disperse. He didn't stop until he was groggy. Can't see through. Only one universe can be seen. Who would have thought that just such a little power of the Starry Sky contained a universe, even more than one universe? The mystery of the Starry Sky is not what he can imagine. In the subsequent time, Jian Wushuang has been obsessed with it. Dao is not a day or two, he needs to be fully prepared. He got the Dao from the Starry Sky, and perhaps the chance of being in harmony is also in the Starry Sky. Everything is possible. In the cave, the eternal unchanging. Outside the cave, there was a change every day. The number of testers gradually decreased, and the number of inheritors began to stabilize. The number of people remains the same, and the resources of the Tomb Mountain remain the same. This is good news for those who inherit it. It's terribly bad news for the real spirit. In the long river of time and space outside the original universe, I don't know when it started, and there appeared a hall exactly like the Temple of Chishan. That great hall stood in the long river of time and space, and the movement made was bigger than that of the Chishan Temple. It is directly open to the strong in the long river of time and space. Obviously, it was made by extinction. Chapter 5605. Temple of Destruction. After realizing the discovery, the true spirit directly issued the death order, and all the emperors who entered the Temple of Destroying the World were killed. The Temple of Destruction and the Temple of Qishan are also enemies of life and death. Although the inheritors didn't know much, they didn't think it was a bad thing. Especially Shang, he rose up and went directly to the long river of time and space to provoke the Temple of Destruction. In just one epoch, the strong who appeared in the Temple of Destruction were no weaker than the inheritors cultivated in the Temple of Qishan. A large number of ultimate emperors have appeared. The momentum of opposition to the Temple of Qishan is unstoppable. And all this has nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. He has been unable to retreat, but the outside world has not changed his legend. Even many people think that he has succeeded in harmony. Jian Wushuang thinks too. It's just that when he comprehended the power of the starry sky, he just didn't pay attention and passed an era. There is no trace of time, but a long time has passed. The four secret realms are completely unified, without any resistance. Most of today's inheritors have entered the primitive universe. Although the Temple of Qishan no longer absorbs Trialers, those inheritors go to the primitive universe and even go to other universes, opening the mountain gates, as if they were opening a mountain and establishing a sect. These inheritors of them can be regarded as a generation of disciples. The second-generation disciples are the strong ones taught by the inheritors. This is also something that true spirit acquiesces. The appearance of the Temple of Destruction has disrupted the plan of the gods and can only be changed temporarily. But the effect is not bad. This long river of time and space has entered the era of great explosions. The first era is the first glimpse of the universe. The second era is the era of the appearance of the Temple of Fortune. This era is very short and very glorious. The third era is the era when the two palaces compete. Both parties have continuously invested a lot of resources, which has thoroughly stimulated the potential of this long river of time and space. In the past, the era when the fifth-order emperors were all strong men had already retreated. Now traversing the long river of time and space, you are not a sixth-order emperor, you are embarrassed to say that you are a strong man. It can already be seen that in the future, there will be some strong men who are against the sky in this long river of time and space. The time for an epic is not enough. There were many superpowers in the first era, but there was still not one in the tribulation realm. Originally, everyone was most optimistic about Shang. After all, the first ultimate emperor, in the end, there was no movement after an era. Has been looking for the absolute top of the Temple of Destroying the World to fight, and there is no sign of breaking through. But the strength is powerful and terrifying, and he has faintly become the number one strong in the long river of time and space. And this long river of time and space has also been crowned by people. Although it is not the name of the strong, it is related to the two halls. Destroying Qi time and space. When this name appeared, the true spirit almost went directly to the Temple of Destruction, but the more he thought about it, the more he was afraid. The original prediction was too accurate. Really want to destroy the Temple of Qi. Compared with the outside world, Jian Wushuang's deposition is also very magnificent. In the power of the starry sky, he looked down at the starry sky, uncomfortable. Now he has created two pinnacle secret methods by virtue of the power of the stars. The Starry Sky Catalog, the kendo that contains the power of the starry sky. The Eternal Change contains the change road of the power of the starry sky. In the past, when he was promoted to the peak state, he could only maintain a stick of incense, but now he can maintain it for an hour. This is only the first change in the Eternal Change. After he becomes the emperor, he will continue to walk this way. As for the Star Catalog, he didn't study much, but continued to perfect the first sword. Now the backlash time brought to him is gradually shortening. He can even rely on the power of life to make up for the backlash, but the price is that he can't use the second sword within an hour. But this is a huge success. In this way, after he casts the first sword of the Star Catalog, he can still maintain his peak state. It won't be a direct realm drop after finishing the first sword as before. In this era, he received a lot of goods. The space realm has reached the black hole realm. The dream black hole realm finally arrived. Moreover, more than half of the origin of all things is left. After he is in harmony, he can devour it, and he can fight for the peak of the black hole realm. He is not yet in harmony, and he is thinking about how to become a catastrophe. The space is perfect, the peak secret method. He is now considered preliminary. After joining the Tao, relying on the power of the stars, you can practice the pinnacle secret to completion. It is the easiest space to step into the universe. It is also his greatest support to improve his strength. Once he has mastered the universe, his thoughts about the universe will turn into the real universe. Plus the power of life. Jian Wushuang has already begun to yearn for it. If the universe created by his mind can give birth to life, doesn't it mean that he can open up the universe? But one thing is trouble. There is vitality, but there is no origin. This is not good either. Can't let him use the power of all things to evolve the origin of all things. This will reduce his strength instead. Guantian chessboard. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up, and he thought a little. Many of his origins are in the Guantian chessboard. If the Guantian chessboard is integrated into the universe and cooperates with his life force, can't the chess pieces on it be resurrected? If this were the case, Jian Wushuang could have imagined that when he was at war with people in the future, a group of powerful men would fly out on the Guantian chessboard. After swallowing his saliva, he is not thinking about it. All this is coming soon, let the strength prove it. Hadao is right in front of you. Exit. He directly tore the space and appeared above Yuanyang Lake. Nianli glanced around, frowning. What about people? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. He found that the powerhouse in the entire Yuan Elder Palace was at least 99% less. And they are all unfamiliar faces. Just when he was puzzled, a figure came in front of him. The person here was Wuzhua, but it was just a Dharmakaya of Wuzhua. Nowadays, the long river of time and space is opposed to the Temple of Destruction, and there are frequent battles. His deity needs to sit in the outside world. Now the two halls are fighting each other with the universe as the unit. Wushuang, I thought you were going to retreat this time and you are ready to join the road directly. Wuzhua said with a light smile. Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied, before he joins the road, I really need to go to the Mahayana Lingshan in the west. That's right, so I will help you transmit your voice to the ancestors of Mahayana Lingshan. Let them come directly. Wuzhua said that he was still so domineering, asking for help, but he had to let the other person come directly. Although Jian Wushuang was a little uncomfortable, he was still very grateful, but this time he was going to go personally. It was a matter of great importance and could not be willful, so he declined Wu's kindness and asked about the current situation. The strong people in the Senate Palace have dropped sharply, and it seems that the strong people in the Senate Palace are all indigenous emperors. After hearing Jian Wushuang's doubts, Wuzhua recounted the big and small things that happened in this era. Chapter 5606. Temple of Destroying the World. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank and his voice trembled. He can be absolutely sure that this is definitely caused by extinction. Now the outside world is indeed chaotic. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief as the opponent stood in the bright spot. As long as the other party is in the bright spot, he is not afraid. I was afraid that the other party kept hiding, so he didn't dare to go out. Even so, he would not leave the Temple of Qishan. What if extinction is waiting for him? He didn't dare to take risks, so he should follow the instructions of the real spirit. Brother Wuzhua, then I will leave first. Maybe I won't come to the Yuan Lao Palace again for a long time in the future. Everything is cherished. Jian Wushuang clasped his fists. The other party did not help him less. He also remembered the other's kindness. It seemed that Wuzhua still failed to become the lord of the palace, and was still the lord of the Hall of Law Enforcement, but now that the outside world is so chaotic, the status of the lord of the Hall of Law Enforcement is probably not much weaker than the lord of the palace. After the success of the harmony, he will go to the Tomb Mountain, and then it is estimated that he will leave this long river of time and space. It may not be easy to meet again. Wuzhua seemed to understand too, holding his fists in the same way, but this time he didn't say much and said sincerely, the same for you. Then Jian Wushuang pointed his toes, stepped on the void and disappeared in place instantly, heading to the central hall. Standing in the same place, Wu Zue, looking at Jian Wushuang's back, took a while and left like him. During Jian Wushuang's flight, he didn't find the old man with horns. On the contrary, Qiu Huang's law body has been guarding the central hall. After seeing Jian Wushuang, the doppelganger was immediately energetic. Jian Wushuang, Qiu Huang said with a smile, "You kid, you are finally out." Jian Wushuang slowly landed, leaking a smile, and walked slowly. The two met, as if they were in Qiu Huangqing for the first time. Sitting on a step indifferently, looking up at Qiu Huang. The other party was already a sixth-order emperor, and I heard that it was a good mix. The deity did not go to the outside world, but went to the realm. After talking for a long time, Jian Wushuang got up to leave. Before entering the teleportation formation, Qiu Huang hesitated and finally stopped Jian Wushuang. "Brother Yang fallen?" This news comes from half an epoch ago. At that time, the robbing of the universe was the fiercest, and Yang Sanmu was a caster and a sixth-order peak emperor who was transferred from the rear to the front battlefield. This was also his willingness, but it was a pity that he met an extremely strong man. After Jian Wushuang heard the news, he was stunned for a moment. He slowly turned his head and squinted and saw his Jueyun sword hilt. This was the peerless divine sword that the old man with horns had bought from the Suzuka Palace master at a great price. Who made the hand? Jian Wushuang stood on the spot, leaning back against Qiu Huang, unable to see the expression on his face, but his tone had suddenly dropped to freezing point. Qiu Huang's voice was also a little hoarse. After all, he was an old brother how many years old, and he was also sad. "It's Broly, the #1 powerhouse in the Temple of Destruction." Click. Jian Wushuang's footsteps were crisp, and he walked directly onto the teleportation formation, leaving only a short sentence. "I will avenge him." This sentence is very decisive and ordinary. It was only when the teleportation array was turned on that Jian Wushuang's complexion in the color channel turned ugly, turned to look at Qiu Huang's position and roared, "I will avenge him." This is cause and effect. At the beginning, he let people kill Broly's father at will, but now Broly kills the sheep 3 eyes casually. The murderer will always be killed. Can't blame anyone. Only when it happens to someone will there be that anger. Normal world. At the current level, it still cannot be changed. Perhaps they are still just mortals. After understanding the power of the starry sky, he sometimes felt that the universe in which he lived was also a point of condensing in one force. Maybe it is, maybe not. A month later, on the pale yellow mainland in the west, a figure flew without rush or slowness. After entering the Western Territory, Jian Wushuang didn't have trouble riding on the teleportation array, but chose to fly slowly. In the current heaven, too many powerhouses have been drawn. Maybe those strong people also went there voluntarily. Everyone yearns for a bigger world. The true spirit may promise that all the native monarchs who leave the Temple of Qixin can help them repair their roots, but they must make a life oath not to betray the Temple of Qixin. This requirement is not excessive at all. Naturally, countless people go to the outside world one after another. As long as you arrive at the Emperor, you can leave. No matter how weak it is, going out will not help the situation. Most of the strong people in today's world are just a dharma body. The deity has gone out. It is a great opportunity to be able to repair the origin, and everyone wants to go out. As a result, Jian Wushuang flew all the way without even encountering an emperor. It's all dharmakayas. If it was in the past, even if the heavens were stable, I am afraid that they would have to meet a few eyesless emperors of the demon Tao. Now it seems that these people have gone to the long river of time and space. It's like a bird with its wings broken, suddenly healed its wings, and was released from the cage. Now Jian Wushuang is the same. He also wants to go out and have a look. West, Mahayana Lingshan. Close in front of you. Yu reading www.Ukanshu.cm. On a majestic golden mountain, the Buddha's voice is faint and golden light appears. Jian Wushuang stopped before and after reaching the gate. After all, if you want to ask others, you can't be too rude. In Xia Jian Wushuang, come to worship the mountain. Jian Wushuang clasped his fists slightly with kindness on his face. It is only 2 little novices who guard the gate, which is the greatest goodness to the outside world. One of the young novice monks, dust-free, white and flawless, stepped out to the front of Jian Wufang, folded his hands and bowed slightly and said, "Well, please wait a moment." "Thank you." Jian Wushuang folded his hands together and gave a gift. Mahayana Lingshan. In a unique backyard, a few linden trees outline the appearance of the mundane world. A spiritual mountain powerhouse living here sits cross-legged under the linden tree, meditating. When Jian Wushuang arrived, the Bodhi bracelet in his hand suddenly stopped. And outside the door, there was also a voice. "Uncle Miaowie, please, master." The bald woman sitting under the linden tree is Gong Miaowie. Since she was released from the Senate Palace, she went to the Mahayana Lingshan and chose to escape into Buddhism, ignoring the outside world. Jian Wushuang has become his demon even more, so that he has not been completely eradicated in the time of an era. Now that Jian Wushuang has arrived, and the mountain lord of Mahayana Lingshan asked her to go again, I am afraid that today is the best opportunity to break. Compared with the harshness of the past, Gong Miaowie is now extraordinary and truly free from earthly grudges. Although he found Jian Wushuang's aura, he was still a little uncomfortable, but he could deal with it with a normal heart. After Nie Yuan's fall, let alone Jian Wushuang's breath, even if she heard Jian Wushuang's name, she would go crazy and want to kill Jian Wushuang. Chapter 5607. The Depths of Lingshan. There are many arhats, each of them is an emperor, and the weakest is the fourth-order pinnacle. In the Mahayana Lingshan, only by achieving the highest level can there be the title of Buddha. There are 3 Buddha masters in Lingshan today. In other words, there are 3 superpowers who are genuine Western hegemony forces. In the Northern Territory, there are 3 superpowers at the same time, none of them. This western border is much stronger than the northern border. Lingshan Hall, above the main seat, the 1,000-star Buddha Lord wearing 1,000-star robes, with kind eyebrows and good eyes, is explaining the wonderful mystery of the 3,000 Buddhas to the Buddha below. The arrival of Jian Wushuang raised his brows slightly. Today, the powerhouses of the 4 great secret realms have almost all gone to the long river of time and space outside. Only the powerhouses of the Mahayana Spirit Mountain, no emperor was born. Everything has its own cause and effect. This is the last word that 1,000-star Buddha said to everyone, and it is also a word to those powerful people who are anxious to enter the long river of time and space. Now that the cause and effect have arrived, their Mahayana Lingshan is about to move into the long river of time and space. Jian Wushuang is that cause and effect. Universal, you pick up that distinguished guest, I'll wait for you under the Gyudi tree. The 1,000-star Buddha disappeared after speaking. At the same time, Qinsheng Buddha also notified Gong Miaowie. The meaning of this is self-evident. After taking the order, the universal bodhisattva walked down to the foot of Lingshan without rush or slowness. But Jian Wushuang at this time was still waiting honestly. This time I came here, one is for the cause and effect to kill the calamity, and the other is because of the heart of the beast god. Once the causal killing and robbery is lifted, Jian Wushuang can directly unite. After the heart of the beast is obtained, he can even upgrade the beast soldier to the state of full body, and he will be one of the strongest treasures after he becomes the emperor. In the early days of the Taoist monarch, he relied on the beasts and gods to kill the quartet. It can be said that without the beasts, there would be no him today. The beast soldier can not only enhance his divine body, but also enhance his perception of space. And there is also its own domain. Although it is not as good as Yin universe, it consumes very little and can instantly form a small area of the beast god domain, unlocking the power of rage and increasing his combat power in close combat. This treasure must be obtained. Of course he will not it is better to return it. There are a lot of treasures in his body now, and there is still 1/3 of the origin of everything, enough to change the heart of the beast god. The heart of the beast alone, although the strongest component of the candle dragon, is not as powerful as the treasure of the universe. At best, it is comparable to the ultimate eternal treasure. If it is possible, he is willing to take out 10 pieces of eternal treasure to exchange. Good person my Buddha, please? The universal bodhisattva who arrived was very polite and bowed slightly to greet Jian Wushuang. This universal bodhisattva is a genuine sixth-order emperor. When Jian Wushuang heard this, he also slightly returned his respect, followed behind the opponent, and entered the Mahayana Lingshan mountain. After stepping in, the sound of Buddha gave him a sense of relief in his mind, which was very comfortable. This Lingshan is really extraordinary. No wonder, to solve the problem of cause and effect, Buddhism is needed. Jian Wushuang followed the universal bodhisattva and felt that the other party's pace was not rushed or slow. As a guest, he couldn't say anything, so he took this opportunity to ask about Lingshan. According to what Jian Wushuang knew, this Mahayana spirit mountain, also inherited from ancient times, was the dojo of the Lord of the Universe. It's just that the universe of the Lord of the Universe has been shattered, and this Lingshan is placed in the 4 secret realms. The subsequent inheritance, according to the universally speaking, is to cultivate the body in the 4 secret realms, and there is no movement in countless epics. There are very few strong people born. Has always been low-key. Jian Wushuang nodded, remembering that Gong Miaoyi was here, and asked about Gong Miaoyi. After hearing Gong Miaoyi's name, the world paused for a while, and then replied, Miaoyi, a guest of the family teacher, came to Lingshan to cultivate 1 epic before. How is she now? Jian Wushuang asked. Universal cautiously replied, everything is fine. That's good. Jian Wushuang said indifferently, I and her are also friends, since I'm training, don't bother. Originally, he still wanted to meet the last time. After all, he took the inheritance of the other party's father, so how could he have to comfort him? But when he arrived, he felt a little sorry for Gong Miaoyi, and it was better not to see him, so let's ask someone to send some treasures. The two walked across the spacious Luohan Avenue and entered the depths. The ancient tree is an ancient tree with a long heritage on Lingshan. Only 3 Buddha masters are qualified to practice here. Few people usually come here. Rumor has it that this ancient tree can be used to cultivate a second soul, but it's just a rumor, and no one has really done it yet. However, the 3 major Buddhas have been in control, and little is known about this ancient tree. Jian Wushuang didn't expect that the other party would invite him here, and he also had a sense of confidence in his heart. It seemed that this time would be very smooth. Junior, Jian Wushuang has seen a 1,000-star Buddha master. The other party is a master of Buddhism, and Jian Wushuang naturally has to give a junior gift. Yu reading www.ukanshu.com puts his hands together, very respectful. 1,000-star Buddha smiled and said calmly, a good man is not restrained, sit down. Raising his hand slightly, the futon flew to the opposite side of the 1,000-star Buddha. Jian Wushuang slowly stepped forward and sat down cross-legged. Friend Wushuang, it's really extraordinary. Qianxing Buddha filled Jian Wushuang with tea himself, and then said, it was only heard before, but when I saw it today, it seems that the strength is stronger than the rumors. Jian Wushuang picked up his teacup, took a sip and said modestly, Buddha Lord Miao praised. His current strength is indeed a level stronger than before, but he still needs to have a humble heart. After being polite, Jian Wushuang went straight to the subject and talked about the purpose of coming this time. The 2 purposes are also very simple. Eliminate the cause and effect of killing, in exchange for the heart of the beast god. 1,000-star Buddha put down his teacup, put his hands in his robes, and said, the causal killing of a good man I already know, this is not difficult for me, but the good man needs to deal with huge torture, I don't know. No problem. Jian Wushuang bit down. It was not the first time he encountered the torture, and he really didn't care about it. Okay, in that case, when the benevolent people kill and tribute through the cause and effect, the heart of the beast will be sent together. The 1,000-star Buddha was very magnificent and directly agreed. Jian Wushuang was also very happy. He didn't expect it to go so smoothly. He was also afraid of making things too ugly. After all, he was asking for help. Junior, there are 2 treasures, and it is useless to help the younger generation, but the Buddhist teachings used are the best. Jian Wushuang said, taking out 2 wooden boxes from the mustard seeds. The treasures contained here were bought from the temple at a great price. When passing by the temple headquarters, he happened to meet Guangmu Tianzuan, and the other party pointed one or two, and he bought these 2 treasures. Chapter 5608. A full 100,000 square cosmic crystal was spent. Even if the Mahayana Lingshan inherits the ancient times, there are very few cosmic crystals stored on the mountain. Even if there are 100,000 square meters, there is no place to buy such treasures. One is a Bodhi bracelet that Buddhism must use, almost a human hand. But the sword on both hands is not ordinary. That was the ancient times, when a under the of Chishan went to other time and space rivers to behead a demon monk and got it. The demon energy contained in it has naturally been eliminated long ago, and now only the power of Buddhism and Taoism is left, and its power is extraordinary, comparable to the treasure of the universe. There is another one, which was separately prepared for the 1,000-star Buddha. It is an example, a relic formed by the Lord of the universe after sitting. The help of this thing to Qianxing can be said to be infinite, because now the true spirit can help them repair their source. After the source is complete, they naturally want to go further and become a catastrophe. This relic can help Qianxing shorten that process. Among Buddhism, no one would say no to the relics. After Qianxing repeatedly shied away, he was still taken into his arms. Both sides looked at each other and smiled. At this time, Gong Miaoi was also taken under the Gyuri tree. As soon as that breath appeared, Jian Wushuang's complexion froze. For a while, I didn't understand what the other party meant. He came to relieve the cause and effect and let Gong Miaoi come over. Didn't he deliberately add to the blockage? But since the other party had invited him, he naturally didn't dare to neglect. Jian Wushuang was also embarrassed when he saw Gong Miaoi's complexion not looking very good. After standing up, he could only greet slightly, "Friend Miaoi, how are you doing these days?" "Thanks to you, everything is fine." Gong Miaoi just leaked a smile and answered perfunctorily. Qianxing stood up at this time and became a peacemaker. Of course, after he said his words, Jian Wushuang also understood why Gong Miaoi had come. It turned out that when this causal killing and calamity was lifted, it was necessary to enter the Gyuri formation in the Mahayana Spirit Mountain. And the person who presides over the big formation needs an acquaintance who has a deep causal relationship with Jian Wushuang. Gong Miaoi is the best candidate. After thinking about it, Jian Wu's two-faced color remained unchanged, and he followed the 1,000-star Buddha to the large formation inside Lingshan. Because they are all pregnant. Jian Wushuang's heart is full of coldness. This time, he felt like someone was calculating him again. How could it be so coincidental? He came to the Mahayana Lingshan to relieve the cause and effect, but Gong Miaoi entered the Mahayana Lingshan ahead of time. Will there be someone's calculation behind this? Naturally, the worry is extinction. Jian Wushuang directly transmitted the voice to the true spirit through the Qishan's personal board, but the other party did not answer for a long time. Let him have a short beating in the bottom of his heart. No, I have to stabilize myself first. Jian Wushuang strongly endured scruples in his heart. Now it's to solve his cause and effect. If he panics, he doesn't need others to calculate, he himself will be finished. Here. 1,000-star Buddha stopped, pointed to a cave, and said, "Inside is the core of the formation, Miaoi, you only need to preside over the big formation outside the cave." After Gong Miaoi heard it, he didn't stop and went straight to the cave, sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the cave, and several small flags appeared in front of him, which was the center of the formation. Although Jian Wushuang had some doubts in his heart, he bit his head and walked in. Just before entering again, he directly performed the ancient changes, and his breath reached its peak state. If he were to make a move now, I am afraid that no one in Mahayana Lingshan would be able to survive. Before entering, he first smiled at Qianxing amicably, then looked at Gong Miaoi, and said, "I am also very guilty for Nye Yuan's death. Since I inherited your father's kendo, I will rectify his name in the future." After hearing these words, Gong Miaoi's eyes clearly changed, but he did not respond to what Jian Wushuang had just said. Jian Wushuang was not surprised, and walked directly into the cave. After he entered the cave, Thousand-Star Buddha leaked a smile that was not easily noticeable, and a thought force conveyed the news that Jian Wushuang had entered the formation through the Buddhist beads in his hand. It's just not clear to whom this news was passed. Besides Jian Wushuang's side, after entering the cave, it was pitch black all around, and nothing was seen. Going all the way, the more I go, the more I feel wrong. When I came, I forgot to inform the real spirit. He was too careless, thinking that after his strength changed again, he felt that these 4 secret realms could not threaten his existence. Or before entering this place, he should also ask Qian Xing what ability does this formation have to eliminate his cause and effect. He was confused now and could only keep moving forward. Light. Jian Wushuang walked and watched a light appeared in front of him. With a move in his heart, he seemed to have grasped something. In the dark space around him, seeing a light naturally meant that he had grasped hope. Go! He hastened his pace, wanting to get to the source of the light quickly. But no matter how fast he walks, the light is still in place, it can't be reached at all. No! Jian Wushuang shook his head, this light is not in the space here. His current spatial realm is already a black hole realm, and he can see it naturally and thoroughly. He was a little hurried just now, but calm but forgot. This made him stop, closed his eyes, and no longer looked at it with the naked eye, but used the origin of space to perceive the space of this place. The 9-layer space was divided one by one, and Jian Wushuang was a black hole in the space surrounded by stars. It turned out to be here. Jian Wushuang leaked a smile, turned his head and took a step, directly to the position of the light source. The darkness around him disappeared instantly and was swallowed by the light. Jian Wushuang walked out of the cave. He was surprised at the outside look. Why did you come out again? Gong Miaoyi asked in surprise. The Thousand-Star Buddha who was waiting by the side was also extremely surprised and said, Good man, why are you so fast? Jian Wushuang was even more surprised. Why is the location of the light source the entrance when he came? He entered the cave house for almost a day, and finally came out again after going round and round. No! Jian Wushuang suddenly shook his head. He couldn't feel the killing intent brought about by the causality in his body. Karma is lifted. He actually relieved the karma-killing tribulation. This is too simple. Thousand-Star Buddha came over, his expression was happy, and congratulated. Congratulations to fellow Taoist Wushuang, the cause and effect has been eliminated. So simple? Gong Miaoyi, who was sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the cave, was a little puzzled. Jian Wushuang also felt incredible, but it was indeed over now. The causal killing and robbery is gone, he is now extremely relaxed, and he can go in harmony. In joy, Jian Wushuang left everything behind. He is about to join forces and will soon become an emperor. The road to the top is getting closer and closer. The causal killing has been lifted, and he didn't need to stay here. After accepting the heart of the beast god, Jian Wushuang directly took the teleportation array in the Mahayana Lingshan to the central state of the heavens, the headquarters of the temple. Chapter 5609. The next goal, Tomb God Mountain. Set off. But when I arrived at the headquarters of the temple, I found that many emperors gathered here. Their faces were extremely solemn, and the Guangmu Tianzuan personally led the team. Brother Guangmu, where are you going? Jian Wushuang discovered that these emperors and powerful men were all inheritors, and there were no native emperors. The strength of these inheritors is mostly fourth-order emperors. There are also several fifth-order emperors, and there is only one sixth-order emperor. Obviously, these inheritances are all rising stars. When Guangmu Tianzuan looked solemnly at Jian Wushuang, he sighed and said, The demon lord was born, united with the Temple of Destruction, and aggressively attacked the universe controlled by the Temple of Qishan. Now the war outside continues to escalate, and the manpower is not enough. Can only let these inheritors go to the top first. The devil is born. Jian Wushuangrong trembled and said in surprise, How can it be so fast? Didn't it mean that there will be several more epochs? That's just a guess. Or it may be that the powerhouse of the Temple of Destruction secretly made a move and liberated the devil in advance. Guangmu Tianzuan replied. The two didn't say a few words, and a majestic voice came. It's true spirit. The arrival of the true spirit's body will take these inheritors to leave the temple of Qixin. Seeing that Jian Wushuang was also here, and that the causal killings had been lifted, Zhenling said, Jian Wushuang, hurry up and join forces. This time, extinction is for you. After speaking, he disappeared in the teleportation array with the people. Only Jian Wushuang stood alone. He did not expect that the war would come so soon. For a moment, he didn't know where to go. After raising for a while, Jian Wushuang just wanted to leave for the secret realm of the Tomb of the Gods, to go to the Mountain of the Tombs to prepare for the road. It suddenly went dark in front of him, and he didn't know where he was going. There was darkness in front of me. Only countless memories flooded into my mind. Is he in harmony? Do not. He is in harmony. This is... Jian Wushuang himself was completely at a loss. He was clearly in the heavens for a moment, but he was in a secret chamber the next moment. Moreover, his spatial origin has actually reached the peak of the black hole realm, and is now devouring the sword and the extreme ocean. A huge picture of the universe is expanding. He will succeed in harmony. A vast force poured into his body. It was a force that surpassed the pinnacle. Hadao! Jian Wushuang did everything uncontrollably. Although he doesn't know what happened, he always pays attention to the method of harmony. The black hole swallowed the kendo and merged with the extreme Dao. Eventually ascended to the space universe. He reached the ultimate perfection in one step. Only one step away from the robbery. Jian Wushuang was not happy yet, his eyes were dark again. This time, he didn't know how long he had been asleep. When he woke up, he felt tired and painful all over his body. Hadao failed. The universe was shattered, and within the sea of his origin, several rounds of hot dark light rose up, constantly destroying his origin. This time, Jian Wushuang discovered that he could control his body. What's the matter? Jian's face sank, and he suddenly agreed, and suddenly failed. He obviously didn't do anything. Why did the harmony fail? Not reconciled. If he failed in harmony, it would mean that he will be unable to make any progress in this life, and he can only stay here. Not only that, but his power will still be constrained, and he must be suitable for suppressing the backlash of the Sea of Origin, otherwise he will fall. Although Hadao failed, he has mastered the universe. After the cosmic secret method, after the harmony, naturally reached the realm of Mahayana. Absolutely complete. But there is no life. Vitality. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned, suddenly thinking of something. Since he got out of the Mahayana Spirit Mountain, he seems to have never felt the power of life. The problem definitely lies in Mahayana Lingshan. Jian Wushuang dragged his tired body and stood up directly. He wanted to see where he was now. The heavy Haishi gate was pushed open by him, and a beam of light hit his face. The dazzling light from the outside world was evident, and it was a secluded valley. But it is not an ordinary valley. Looking at the long river in the sky, Jian Wushuang found that he was actually in the long river of time and space. This place is not the temple of Qixin, nor the primitive universe, but the long river of time and space. Boom! Kill, kill, kill. The originally secluded valley was instantly destroyed, the monstrous killing intent came, the rocks bounced to pieces, and countless huge flying dust covered the sky and the sun, just like a doomsday scene. It's from the Temple of Destruction, run away. Several emperors flew out from the cave mansion in the mountain, each took out the treasures, and prepared to fight. The huge halls of supreme treasure moved from the void. Countless strong men came in an instant. Jian Wushuang's heart moved. Brother Wushuang, why haven't you left? Jian Wushuang was very familiar with the speaker, and was Emperor Dongxing. At this time, Dongxing was already an absolute powerhouse. He led several sixth-order emperors against those flying halls, and saw Jian Wushuang appear, and quickly shouted, "Hurry up, don't let Misheng find you, otherwise this long river of time and space is really going to end." Extinction? Do you know extinction? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Shouldn't this news be concealed? It seems that the current situation has reached the point of frequent collapse, or that the Temple of the Gods has been defeated, they are just resisting desperately. This must be dreaming. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He couldn't believe it, and he didn't want to believe it. At the last moment, he had clearly just left the Mahayana Lingshan. How could he suddenly reach the long river of time and space, and he failed in harmony? Brother Dongxing, where's the true spirit? Where did Shang and Huiqing go? Although Jian Wushuang didn't believe that this was the real world, he couldn't help but wonder what this long river of time and space has become. There was blood in Dongxing's eyes, and his lips trembled. They are all dead. They all died for the primitive universe. They died for you, you must live. After finishing speaking, a hand knife slashed directly on Jian Wushuang's neck, and Jian Wushuang's eyes went black again, and he fainted. In the Temple of Destruction, the burly and domineering Broly sat on the throne. Report. Found Jian Wushuang in the Infinite Valley. Set off. It was nothing more than a small group of powerhouses from the Temple of World Destruction that appeared above the Infinite Valley, but now the terrifying Broly shot himself, leading countless troops, and swept in once again. At this time, the long river of time and space is full of life, and countless universes are all exhausted. Shanjun merged the 4 devouring demons and restored the power of the ancient god. The demon lord had already broken free of the restriction and began to devour a large amount of the universe to make up for his loss of combat power. The strongest ancient monarch has never participated in the war. These 3 true monarchs alone made the Temple of Qixin unable to resist. Not to mention extinct. This long river of time and space will eventually go to extinction. Chapter 56:10. At some point, Jian Wushuang felt the pain in his neck and woke up. At this moment he was lying on a soft bed. You're awake. A familiar voice made Jian Wushuang open his eyes with difficulty. He couldn't believe the person in front of him. Enduring the exhaustion of his body, he sat up directly, stared at the woman in front of him and said, "How could it be you? Have you forgotten the original promise?" The woman disappeared after speaking. Promise? Yep. He seems to have made a promise to an ordinary woman in Moyne Mountain. Jian Wushuang just remembered now, but the other party had disappeared. He now understands it thoroughly. This place is definitely not real, and perhaps it is also real. It's just different from what happened in his original time and space. I should be still in Mahayana Lingshan now. Jian Wushuang's eyes were firm. As for the present time and space, it should happen in the future. He will fail in the future. Embarked on a road of no return. The Temple of Destroying the World has really done an act of destroying the world. Senior Wushuang. A shout made Jian Wushuang open his eyes again. Jian Wushuang was not surprised this time. After seeing the dark-skinned young man with a thin body in front of him, he said calmly, "Xngo." It was the casual cultivator he encountered in the human world. Just as he saw at the time, Xngo's potential was huge, and he was already an absolute powerhouse now. Where are we going? Jian Wushuang quickly integrated into this world, not thinking about the previous things. Living in the present, although he does not know why he will appear in the future time and space, but no matter where he is, he has to step into that endless road. After walking the Pinnacle Avenue, Xngo picked up a bowl of water, and after handing it to Jian Wushuang, he said, "The Infinite Valley has been destroyed. Let's go to Moyne Mountain, where it is still intact, and the god of Moyne is still alive. We can resist it for a while." Good. Jian Wushuang nodded, and after taking a sip of water, his breath stabilized. After getting acquainted with his body briefly, he found that his current combat power was hundreds of times stronger than before he Dao, but he couldn't fight for a long time now, otherwise he would fall. Xngo, let me ask you how the Temple of Qixin was destroyed. Jian Wushuang asked the doubt in his heart. He needs to figure out why the Temple of Qixin in the future time and space will suddenly collapse. Xngo lowered his head, frowning, unwilling to mention it. Let's talk, I can accept it. The memories Jian Wushuang absorbed are all fragments, and there is no memory of the destruction of the Qixin Temple at all. It's Lord True Spirit. Xngo caught tears in his eyes, and said, "It's Lord True Spirit, he destroyed the Temple of Qixin with his own hands." Before the Temple of Qixin was destroyed, Lord True Spirit moved everyone to the long river of time and space. Jian Wushuang was completely stunned. After the water bowl in his hand fell and made a crisp sound, Jian Wushuang recovered. The True Spirit destroyed the Temple of Qishan. This is really unexpected. If the future time and space are different from his original time and space, it shouldn't be the True Spirit that destroyed the Temple of Qishan. Could it be? Jian Wushuang suddenly thought of something. Miexing was able to come and go freely in the Qishan Temple at the beginning, and I am afraid that he knows more about the Qishan Temple than the True Spirit. The identity of the other party is very mysterious. I am afraid that it has a connection with the original god. Behind all of this, I am afraid that the gods of the beginning played this game of chess again. In the future time and space, Zhenling chose to abandon the Temple of the Gods for the sake of the big plan of the gods. After understanding, Jian Wushuang took a long breath. The arrival of the Temple of Qishan brought him unlimited opportunities and countless illusions. It's time to break all this. Exenjiu, I'm sorry. Jian Wushuang's eyes were strong with determination, and his aura suddenly rose to its peak state. The future will be even stronger. He is probably already comparable to Tribulation Realm now. With just one punch, he stunned Exenjiu, an extremely strong man with good strength. The exposure of his breath caused many people to rush in. Wushuang, what are you doing? The first person who rushed in was Ji Chaoyang. Because he was the ultimate emperor, he was the leader of this time, and his strength was extremely strong. Music will. Jian Wushuang slowly stepped forward and said in a cold voice, "Go and do what I should do." What nonsense are you talking about? Extinction has already suppressed your strength to the extreme in order to swallow you. You must die alone. As long as you live, we still have a chance. Ji Chaoyang shouted angrily. Jian Wushuang raised his hand, exerted a slight force, and said, "I have long lost the vitality, so you don't have to worry about me being swallowed." For some reason, when he arrived in the future time and space, he had no vitality. Ji Chaoyang was also taken aback. Although he didn't know much about extinction, he knew that the other party came for the life force in Jian Wushuang's body. Jian Wushuang is indeed out of life force now. They have been guarding Jian Wushuang, but they can actually kill Jian Wushuang, but no one can do it. And they had no hope for a long time. Miexing almost destroyed the entire long river of time and space. They just went to protect Jian Wushuang all the time because they didn't want to consume Jian Wushuang by extinction. During this time, "Thank you very much," begs to make me decent once. Jian Wushuang bowed slightly towards the crowd. In fact, these people didn't need to guard him, they killed him directly, and they might jump angrily. But they chose to guard. 1/3 of the origin of everything was really not wasted. At least let these people choose to guard him. Guard the primitive universe, guard the long river of time and space today. Jian Wushuang. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang rushed out of the flying hall and entered the long river of time and space. He wants to return to the infinite valley. There is also a big battle there. Jian Wushuang didn't reserve anything, and used all his strength to fly, turning into streamer and rushing towards the infinite valley. Since the harmony has failed, there is no vitality. He is like an abandoned child, there is nothing to remember. It's better to fight to death. The world in the future is really bleak. In the land where Jian Wushuang passed, many time and space secret realms were turned into coke. After flying for a quarter of an hour, he felt that the strength in his body was gradually decreasing, and the backlash made him miserable. What Thousand Star Buddha said was right, it was indeed a huge torture. He watched the destruction of his hometown with his own eyes, and endured the torture of the failure of Hidao. He is a very strong person. A person who didn't compromise the means to become stronger, and how difficult it was to refine the flesh at the beginning, he has never retreated. Now that the Hidao failed, how could he accept it? Infinite Valley. Dongsheng brought a few Sixth-Order Emperors, resisting hundreds of Sixth-Order Emperors, and dozens of superpowers, including the Ultimate Emperor. They escaped, and I didn't die in vain today. Dongxing laughed wildly, shook his finger, his fingertips burst out the only light before, that was the last source of power in his body. Chapter 56:11. Go and die. Dong Sheng looked savage, and chose the one who fought with him to exchange lives. The rest of the Sixth Order emperors are like this. Go to death generously. These former strong men have now chosen to die one by one for the time and space of their hometown. Jian Wushuang was hundreds of thousands of miles away, feeling the falling of hot stars, and his heart was desolate. The miserable future is largely due to his vitality. Of course, there are also real reasons. The Temple of Qishan brought hope to them, and personally destroyed this hope. Originally, this long river of time and space should be heading for prosperity. This is what countless people thought. The conflict between the two halls drove and destroyed this long river of time and space. How dare you! Jian Wushuang broke out again, and a stream of light instantly descended on the battlefield. His sleeves were flying, but Jian Wushuang's face was completely bloodless. Once the scenery was infinite, now it is in despair. Jian Wushuang, an extremely strong man who took the lead, walked out of the crowd and was overjoyed when he saw Jian Wushuang turning back again. Catch Jian Wushuang alive and reward millions of cosmic crystals. Jian Wushuang condensed his eyebrows and sneered, "Is the life of this seat worth only 1 million universe crystals?" In a flash, the memory in my mind emerged. After he failed in harmony, he never made another move. This is his first shot since he joined forces. It seems that many people have forgotten how powerful he was once. One thought. Jian Wushuang pinches the tactics with both hands, and now his thought power is very weak. Only with the help of secret methods can he use his thoughts on the universe. Universe. But this time, it is the real universe. An elliptical universe, like a bubble, with Jian Wushuang as its center, instantly covered the entire infinite canyon. This is the universe. Everyone, be careful. The leader is also very vigilant. They are all strong in this long river of time and space, but they just took refuge in the Temple of Destruction. I still know Jian Wushuang very well. Yin Yen Universe is Jian Wushuang's best pinnacle secret method. How can you not know? You all have to die. Jian Wushuang forcibly endured the backlash from the source and shot instantly. Yin Yen Universe cooperated with his eternal changes, and the burst of strength was not weak in the Calamity Realm. He may not be as good as the legendary King Jueyun, but he is not much different. Even if the Robber Realm powerhouse came, he was confident. It's just that in the two halls, there has never been a strong robbery. Although 2 of the 3 true monarchs had personally shot, but when the Temple of Qishan was destroyed, the 3 true monarchs never made another shot. I don't know if it was an agreement with the true spirit or for some reason. As for the extinction, just as Ji Chaiyang said, in order to swallow him, he has already cut his own realm, and now it is only the absolute top. However, the combat power is the well-deserved number 1. Kill. Hundreds of Sixth Order emperors combined their formations on the periphery, trying to limit Jian Wushuang. Those who took part in the war were all superpowers, dozens of superpowers, besieging Jian Wushuang. In the eyes of these people, Jian Wushuang must be captured alive today. Thanks, Tusk, it seems you really forgot. Jian Wushuang teleported and jumped out of the siege directly. The figure went directly to the periphery, and with one punch, the formation formed by hundreds of Sixth Order emperors was instantly shattered. All the Sixth Order emperors fell. It's just a punch. You. Before those Judian could react, Jian Wushuang shot again like a ghost. This time, his strength is stronger. The beasts of the future are already fully physical, and the power that erupts is 10,000 times stronger than before. Jian Wushuang was amazed by the elevated divine body alone. It's a pity that after he failed in harmony, he was too decadent and never improved the basic temple. The current basic divine body is still 50,000 times that before Hadao. Cooperating with the increase of the beast god weapon, it has been able to rush to 80,000 times. So he didn't need to draw a sword at all, he could kill those absolute peaks instantly. With just a breath, raindrops fell in the sky. Emperor fall. Bathed in the rain, Jian Wushuang was extremely excited. He was able to breathe a sigh of fusion with his future self. After suppressing for so long, he finally broke out once. Jian Wushuang. The roar came from a distance. At the next moment, Jian Wushuang had already seen the incoming person. There are tens of thousands of people in the dark. The weakest are the sixth-order emperors. There are more than 100 people alone. Jian Wushuang had forgotten to ask how long it had been since he joined the road at this time. Why the sixth-order emperor is so worthless, and Zhu Dian is so worthless. However, there is not a single tribulation realm. This is not in line with common sense. Broly. At the core of countless halls, there was a burly figure sitting on the tall throne, and it was Broly. Broly at this time is already a complete consummation. Is the #1 powerhouse of destroying World Hall. He didn't know the future, but in his time and space, Broly was the murderer who killed the old horned man. It seems that revenge is about to take place in the future time and space. The two looked at each other and there was no nonsense. Instant shot. The #1 powerhouse in the Temple of Destruction. The superpower of change. Absolutely complete. However, Jian Wushuang was very calm. Jian's sword. The power of the starry sky. It's been a long time. Jian Wushuang's face leaked a smile. Yu reading www.ukanshu. Calm after he failed to join the Tao. I am afraid that after casting the sword, he will fall instantly. But there is nothing to regret. Anyway, this is the future. If you die, you die. If he really died, he would not be in vain. If he falls behind, he reappears in Mahayana Lingshan. He will do his best in this life, and all the opportunities in the future, to change his way to success. Starry Sky Catalog. The Jueyun sword exploded in an instant, slashed out with a single sword, and faced Broly. Whether it was once or in the future, he was full of confidence in this sword. Because I never let him down. The #1 powerhouse in the Temple of Destruction, Broly. Falling. Jian Wushuang shouted angrily. Jueyun's sword completely cut Broly in half. Starting from the blade, the surrounding space instantly solidified, and a huge starry sky catalog appeared. That is the face of all people. Broly, who was split in half from scratch, and the scene where tens of thousands of people were frozen. Correct. And Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, who got out of his hand, was frozen in the starry sky catalog before he fell to the ground. This scene will be preserved forever until the starry sky is over. The cruelty of the future. Once chance. Everything is relative. Jian Wushuang saw the light again, but this time he returned to this life. Sure enough, is this karma? Jian Wushuang inevitably sighed, letting him experience the cruelty of the future world, and that would be the end of bad practice. Sometimes it's not that he has to move forward, but someone behind him walks forward against him. Slightly falling behind is a disaster. The causal killing this time is really extraordinary. After a long delay, he still couldn't stop. Chapter 56:12. Once, present, and future. There was no need to say more. He has only been in a few epochs since he was born. Now he knows best and understands what he is going to do. But the future is different. The future beyond his control makes him feel desperate. If the harmony fails, the Temple of Qixin will be destroyed, and the entire river of time and space will be destroyed. The terrible extinction was far more powerful than he had imagined. I can't fail. Jian Wushuang's expression was serious, and the perseverance in his eyes was as pure as his kendo. The future self has fallen, but the present self will never let his future become that miserable appearance. He not only wants to succeed in harmony, but also to kill all those who stand in front of him. Extinction, half-step 7 tribulations realm power. Can't stop him. Once he succeeds in harmony, he will choose to leave the Temple of Qixin and leave this time and space. At least the current true spirit is reliable. In the future, the true spirit will destroy the Temple of Qixin. I am afraid there will be some kind of change in the middle. Otherwise, based on the nature of the true spirit, even if there is a certain connection between the deity and extinction, the true spirit will not be captured. Because of the birth of the true spirit, the inherited will is like steel. In the eyes of true spirit, the god of Qi is a god. For the sake of Morwa time and space, he chose to abandon his own way, and eventually fell like a hero. By no means a villain. But from the facts, the original ambivalence was really a villain. In order to survive, he would destroy the entire Morwa time and space. In any case, Jian Wushuang needs to hurry up while the true spirit hasn't turned averted. Bathed in the light, Jian Wushuang entered a magnificent void. This is a strange place in a long river of time and space. Molo time and space? Jian Wushuang frowned slightly, his voice trembled and his hands trembled. This time he saw Morwa time and space in ancient times. It is a long river with a wide and stalwart bank. In the river, countless powerful men and countless universes have been born. As he watched carefully, a strange laugh interrupted Jian Wushuang. Jie Jie. Jian Wushuang turned his head and looked at him. A group of twisted evil spirits were staring at him. There are two eyes on countless ugly faces, staring at him tightly. It's you. Jian Wushuang looked at the ugly evil spirit in surprise. The evil spirits tore their lips in countless numbers and made a hoarse voice together. Do you know me? Inner demon. Jian Wushuang's heart sank, and as expected, he was still calculated. 5 major demon masters, Mountain Monarch, Blood Demon, 10,000 Demon, Heart Demon, Wind Demon. He has seen 2 of the first 3, and the remaining 2, he didn't take it seriously, only knowing that they were taken away by the extinction. Unexpectedly, the Heart Demon was actually inside him. Are you exterminating or Heart Demon? Jian Wushuang asked directly, without any muddling. There is a high probability that the opponent is still extinct and manipulated, just like Broly. But Jian Wushuang was surprised that this time his heart was stunned, and he didn't seem to know Daixing at all. From the evil spirit in Jian Wushuang's heart, the Heart Demon turned into a red-haired man with a beautiful face, hard to see in this life, and a red hair swaying in the wind. Extinction? What is that called? Jian Wushuang's heart loosened and he didn't know extinction. That would be great. Without the manipulation of extinction, even if the opponent is one of the 5 demons, he is not afraid. He is an amazing existence, but unfortunately you don't know it. Since the other party has nothing to do with extinction, he doesn't need to worry anymore, so he might as well explore the conversation. Why would this great demon be stored in his body and be completely integrated with the karma-killing tribulation? When did you stare at him? After hearing this, the inner demon was taken aback and said arrogantly, You little guy, do you know what greatness is? Do you know who is my body? The Heart Demon is a little unbelievable, which is somewhat inconsistent with his name. According to common sense, shouldn't the inner demon be the one who fears the most? How to look at the other party is a bit silly. Jian Wushuang deliberately leaked a curious expression and asked, Oh, I really don't know. Can I translate it for the next one? What is great? A great existence, just stand in front of you. The Heart Demon squeezed his nose and continued, You have met Shanjun and met the Blood Demon. Do you know how I am different from these idiots? I don't know. Jian Wushuang shook his head. He felt more and more that this guy must be crazy. The Heart Demon proudly said, These idiots only have pure strength, but they don't know the world. The most powerful is the mental power. The 6th layer mental power is stronger than the universe. Really? Jian Wushuang said in surprise. If this is the case, why do you want to keep it in my body? After hearing Jian Wushuang's doubts, the inner demon leaked a satisfied expression on his face. This is the strength of the heart. You're my best host. When you entered the temple of the gods, I focused on you, and only you can nurture my strongest mind. Speaking of which, I also want to thank you. The Heart Demon laughed wildly. When Jian Wushuang entered the temple of Qishan, Yu read the book www. Ukanshu. Calm and he was staring at him. Karma killing is actually very common. For everything in the universe, it is just a small catastrophe. But with the addition of the inner demon, this calamity is not weak. Moreover, the power of the current cause and effect to kill the robbery has exceeded the scope of the emperor, and it is more like the robbery of the robbery realm. It turned out to be like this. Jian Wushuang nodded. No wonder the more powerful he is, the stronger the causal killing in his body. It turned out that it was the demons who made the ghost again. Now that he knows the answer, he is very relaxed. Because this catastrophe is not a bad thing to him. When entering this space, his state of mind suddenly rose. It was the power left by the inner demon. By absorbing this power, his mind power began to faintly loosen. The 6th level of mental strength. Tao heart is perfect. This is an unforgettable opportunity. Next, what are you going to do with me? Jian Wushuang asked tentatively. Although the strength of the inner demon is good, it can be compared with Shanjun, but it is far worse to deal with him now. Really want a head-on, the heart demon is not his opponent at all. What to do? Of course I killed you. The demon's complexion changed, his hands condensed huge mental strength, which was breathtaking. Jian Wushuang's expression changed, and with the means of dealing with it, he shook his heart with his palm and said, "How could you? Why, maybe it will be so weak." Jian Wushuang instantly recovered to his peak and straightened up. The demon's methods can't threaten him at all. This time it was the turn of the heart demon master who was shocked. He stared at Jian Wushuang in horror and couldn't say anything. How could you possibly? In his opinion, Jian Wushuang is only the 5th level of heart strength, and there is still a long distance from Dao Xan consummation. How can he block his power? Chapter 56:13. What's impossible? Your power has no effect on me. Jian Wushuang's expression leaked a grin, and then said, "Also, I have completed my Taoist heart, and the next 3 abuses are the next 3 abuses after all." Jian Wushuang teleported, and directly grabbed the heart demon's neck. The swallowing power burst out, swallowing all the heart demon's body into the palm of his palm. Leak out your true face. What Jian Wushuang swallowed was the power of the inner demon, not the body. He didn't want this thing, and entered his body again. In the withered skin, he instantly transformed into a skinny old man, with folds and gully on his face, staring at Jian Wushuang with horror. His voice said in fear, "How can you have the power of death?" The power of death? Jian Wushuang was stunned. How could the other party say that he has the power of death? The fact that the heart demon is stored in his body does not mean that he is one with him and can perceive the universe. The heart demon should not know anything about what is happening outside. Otherwise, it won't fail to recognize extinction. But now the other party actually knows the power of death. Why is this? Jian Wushuang didn't rush to kill the killer. He squeezed the void and directly suppressed the heart demon in a small transparent bottle. He pinched the bottle with his fingers and threatened, "How do you know the power of death, and dare to confuse people? I will pinch damn you." The current heart demon is like a reptile, the power of all things that is looked down by the other party, but it firmly controls the life of the heart demon. Your source contains the power of death, and it's useless for you to threaten me. You will fall in a short time. The demon laughed wildly. "No one can threaten me, only I threaten others." Jian Wushuang disliked the harsh laughter of the other party, swallowed the small bottle directly, and swallowed it down. Since you like to confuse people, let the other party stay in him first. He originally wanted to bring the other party into his original space, but he was afraid of the methods of the demons, and if something happened again, he would lose out. Moreover, the identity of the other party is not simple. Since Mieshing took away the remaining demon masters, it might be of great use, so he could not rest assured that the demon would go away. Let the other party stay in his body forever. Now, he doesn't even believe in the real spirit. In his physical body, no one can save the demons. With a strong physical body, he is not afraid of the evil spirits using any tricks. As for the power of death in the opponent's mouth, he has to study it. He always thought it was his own problem for the future failure of Hadao, but now it seems that some people are making trouble from it. Otherwise, no matter how hard he works, he will probably walk the same way in the future. So that he didn't dare to unite. The heart demon had been solved by him, but there was no change in this place. Jian Wushuang looked back at the long river of time and space. Without the heart demon, only Killjier is left. Where are you hiding? Jian Wushuang looked down on the long river of time and space, and wanted to actively search for it. The reason why the karma killing and tribulation has grown to this day is largely because of the demons. Ordinarily, without the inner demon, the threat brought to him by the killing robbery should be very small. Why did he feel that something big was going to happen in his heart, and it would threaten him? What exactly is it? Jian Wushuang's eyes turned, and his whole body was vigilant, not daring to be careless. To be honest, the threat of the inner demon to him is very small. If it is an ordinary Taoist, I am afraid that there is really no resistance to the inner demon, but to him, the other party is a crawler, just need it. The existence that can be stronger than the heart demon is probably the killing and robbery that was conceived. Jian Wushuang's figure receded directly, and the position he had just now began to collapse and collapse, which was very similar to when he exploded with a thought of the universe. I thought it was killing the robbery to attack him, but I didn't expect that something happened in this long river of time and space. The long river of time and space collapsed and shrank, and time flowed back along with it. The location of the collapse was getting bigger and bigger, constantly swallowing the surroundings, and soon it spread to Jian Wushuang. No! Jian Wushuang wanted to escape, but found that no matter how to escape, it was useless. His body was dragged into the vortex of the collapse of time and space. Falling into the vortex of time and space, that is a turbulent space that is more terrifying than a black hole. The bread contained time and space. Even if it entered the tribulation realm, it would be difficult to leave it alive. After Jian Wushuang entered, he found that there was a faint light on his body protecting him. With the existence of this light, he shuttled through the vortex, and in front of him were many time and space fragments after the time and space were broken, and there was a point in time inside. The light surrounding his body gradually dimmed. Jian Wushuang gritted his teeth and couldn't control that much. He flew directly towards the nearest space-time fragment and plunged in. Boom! It was pitch black at first, and then there was a deafening sound in my ears. His vision slowly widened, and Jian Wushuang found himself in a wilderness, surrounded by green grass more than a foot high. In the sky, thunder was loud, and squally rain followed. A barrier instantly wrapped his body. Jian Wushuang realized that his power was still there, and he was relieved in his heart. I just don't understand, where is? This fragment of time and space is probably a certain period of time in Morwa time and space. If he doesn't find a way out, he will be trapped here forever. You have to find someone to inquire about the situation first. Jian Wushuang soon had an idea. However, he read many books about Morwo's time and space from the Temple of Qishan, from which he probably also learned about several important time periods of Morwa. It is mainly divided into the ancient times, the gods, the human race, the chaotic star field, and the age of the gods. It was not until the destruction of Morwo's time and space that the era of the gods was declared dead. The first 4 eras, together, are not as long as the age of the gods. Discordant gods can be regarded as ending the era of disorder and building their own era of discordant gods. Jian Wushuang still has a hint of excitement in his heart. Maybe this time he still has a chance to see the gods. What kind of meeting should it be? Although he knew that the of disbelief was a villain with a high probability, he forged his own fall. But he still wanted to meet this legend. Just when he stood there in a daze, a wild beast of several battle sizes had gradually approached Jian Wushuang. His fangs were stained with blood, and the rain was not clear. Obviously drinking blood for many years. Oh! A few miles away from Jian Wushuang, he appeared and rushed. The strength of this wild beast is not weak. According to the strength of Morwo's time and space, it is already an innate monster. But in Jian Wushuang's eyes, it was the same, just a mundane monster. With a force at hand, without deliberate control, it directly blasted the nearby mountains and a large towering forest into dust. The green earth turned into coke in an instant. Is it too hard? Jian Wushuang shook his head. After that, he leaped and left the place in an instant. Chapter 56:14. In the future, his realm of space will reach the universe, and as soon as his mind power is opened, he will be directly within the scope of a universe, and that kind of power makes him obsessed. This life is also coming soon. After he joins the path, he can quickly step into the realm of space and universe. Now his power of thought can cover the size of the upper realm of the seat. Jian Wushuang stopped directly, then turned around and flew towards the south. There are only a few hundred people in such a large area. What is this era? There are only 100 people in the entire high-level realm, and it seems that they are still some old monks who practice ancient qi training methods. The rest of the breath came from the desolate beast all over the body. This continent, so vast, is tens of thousands times larger than a universe, and it is probably the continent created by the more famous spacetime secret realm in Moro's spacetime. It stands to reason that a continent like this should have been occupied by the human race a long time ago. Could it be that the classics he saw at the beginning were inaccurate, or that the time and space he came to was too long, and the human race had not yet risen? The strength of those desolate beasts is pretty good, and there have been desolate beasts of the immortal level. In the time and space of Moroa in ancient times, the division of strength was far less detailed than today, and the realm was very complicated and rough. Simply put, it is Xianfan, which is the same as the 4 secret realms. Earth immortal, heavenly immortal, emperor. The common customs are the acquired, the innate, the Vientian, the primordial spirit, and the Mahayana. He had been in these realms for tens of thousands of years. But for the later Moroa time and space, some heaven-defying Tianjiao can reach the realm of Mahayana in just 100 years. With countless treasures and powerful masters, it is indeed a lot less detours. For example, when Jian Wushuang encountered the retreat without confusion, everyone else had a powerful master to solve the confusion directly. Although his master was not weak, Xian Yi helped him more by teaching, and he rarely solved puzzles. After all, he couldn't let him go smoothly. Those Tianjiao who have become the Mahayana realm after 100 years of cultivation can't reach his current realm. It's not that those Tianjiao can't become Daojun, but those Tianjiao, most of them stopped the emperor, and they still need some hardships if they want to become the tribulation realm. The realm of Jian Wushuang is much stronger than that of the emperor. Among the most outstanding, there are few people who can compare with him. Here. When he was thinking about it, his figure was already near the human monk. Boom! Kill! As soon as he arrived, he heard the cry of killing all over the sky. It turned out that these human cultivators had encountered a powerful barren beast, whose strength had reached the late Yuanshan stage. Among these monks, there was only one strong soul, and it seemed that he was still in a new state. The primordial spirit is a great realm, and some strong primordial spirits can extinguish countless primordial spirits with a wave of hands. There is a big gap in the middle. Just the same as now. Jian Wushuang grasped the board on his thumb, and one accidentally fell off the board. Just about to pick it up, those human race monks could no longer hold it. He couldn't manage that much, so it was important to rush to save people first. This time he deliberately suppressed his breath, but when he could freely shoot, he still caused a lot of movement, and the world was shocked. The desolate beast in the realm of primordial spirit turned directly into powder and disappeared in the same place in an instant. But Jian Wushuang had already reached the crowd and saved a baby in swaddling clothes. Just when he slowed down a little bit, the baby was about to fall. Benefactor. One of the oldest ancient monks among the human race monks directly knelt down to Jian Wushuang. The others knelt down after seeing the old man kneeling. Jian Wushuang was holding the infant child in one hand, and behind the other hand, the appearance of a worldly expert was undoubtedly revealed, and he was carrying a divine sword behind him, which was even more mysterious. But he knows that, based on the timeline, these people are probably older than the gods. Get up all. This seat only retreats here. After being disturbed by this beast, he came to help. Don't thank me. Jian Wushuang's voice was steady, with the tolerance of a great monk. The old man who took the lead, tremblingly stood up, and immediately reported his name. Junior Qi, pay respect to senior. I don't know that this place is senior's dojo, so much trouble. Jian Wushuang didn't care. Instead, he lowered his head and looked at the baby in his arms. He found that the other party was born with an ancient mark on the brow, and he asked, I think the mark on the baby's forehead is not simple, it's you. Totem of the race? In this era, he probably knew that it should be the end of the era of God. Human races born in the time of God will have ethnic totems. Yes, the baby in the hands of the predecessor is an old grandson who has just been born. The old man replied respectfully. The bottom of my heart is even more moved. Their family has survived here for millions of years, but no Mahayana monk has been able to appear. And the young man in front of him was probably a Mahayana monk. If he asked the other party to accept his grandson as his apprentice, there would be a Mahayana monk in their clan. Yu reading www.Ukanshu. Calm clan groups with Mahayana monks are qualified to step out of this barren wilderness and enter the holy land of the human race. That will rewrite the fate of their family. Just born, the totem can be revealed, your grandson's talent, not bad. Jian Wushuang nodded. Although he didn't know much about Morwo's time and space, he still understood the basic common sense. The totem on the baby's forehead can appear so early, I am afraid that in the future he will be a primordial monk. Hopefully Mahayana realm. Of course, if you can meet him, it will not be difficult to become a Mahayana. One finger pointed it out, and a force of all things entered the baby's eyebrows. Following the power of all things, there is a trace of thought power entering the baby's body. After Nian Li entered the baby's body, a huge blood force instantly numbed Jian Wushuang's hand. Not easy. Jian Wushuang secretly said in his heart. The baby's future is not simple, he can't even spy on it. This power of all things can be regarded as a good destiny. The old man's eyes were eager, and he could feel a powerful force injected into his grandson, and his heart was ecstatic. Just about to follow Jian Wushuang's meaning, when he continued, Jian Wushuang interrupted. I have something to do, so I won't bother you. After saying that, Jian Wushuang got up and wanted to leave. Holy land of Terran. Where is he going to see? Before leaving, Jian Wushuang thought that the board had fallen, and wanted to return to search for it. At this moment, he suddenly had an idea and thought of something. That was the jade board of Qishan, and he brought it into this time and space. Doesn't it mean that two identical jade boards appeared? If so, the board in his hand will probably disappear. And now that board hasn't disappeared, and it's also positive that it hasn't been born yet. Chapter 56:15. Forget it. Jian Wushuang shook his head, and then said to the old man Qi Hao, I left a token near this place. If you can find it by fate, you can let the talented among the younger generations find me. Then he left a seal in the jade board and left. This jade board, the final result will definitely fall into the hands of the gods. Even if he does not give them to these people, he will still be in the wild at will, and eventually will be in the hands of the gods. Because this is something of a god, this cannot be changed. After Jian Wushuang broke open and left, all the human monks, except the baby who was held by Jian Wushuang, went crazy looking for tokens. This is a great opportunity. This is interesting. Jian Wushuang kept flying towards the holy land of the human race in the record, feeling more and more interesting in his heart. He strayed into the age of God in Morwa time and space. It seems that the God of God was born in this era, and after 3 eras, it opened up its own era. Maybe he can still meet the gods. Judging from the records, the Qishan was very ordinary in the early stage, and in the glorious era of the human race, the Qishan was only an earth fairy. In the age of chaotic stars, the Qishan slowly emerged. According to the record, the era of God ended when a human race monk became a tribulation realm and then led the human race to the peak human race era with one person. In this era, the human family is not the only one. Said it was the human race era. In fact, the strong human race at the time didn't think so, it was just the people of later generations who named this era. Although the human race has appeared in the tribulation realm and perfected the cultivation method, the comprehensive strength of the human race is far inferior to the rest of the race in the long river of time and space. There is only one peak powerhouse, which is far from enough. At this time, there is a high probability that the strong robbery realm will appear. I just don't know if it's the holy land of the human race on this continent. His current location is almost a cosmic distance from the holy land of human race. In order to be able to arrive quickly, Jian Wushuang directly used the ancient changes, and his strength was raised to the peak. Now, the closer he is to Hadao, the faster his strength will increase. I don't know if it is good or bad. He has not heard of this phenomenon, so that his strength has overflowed a bit. In the normal state, he has the top combat power. After displaying the peak state after the ancient changes, he has already had the perfect combat power, which is much stronger than the strength he previously expected after joining the Dao. Could it be said that after he is in harmony, he will be invincible directly? Now he dare not say that he is the invincible emperor, he can only say that he has few rivals. The appearance of the power of the starry sky really made his strength beyond his cognition, but as long as there is no aftereffect, he can accept it. 10 days. In just 10 days, he traveled across a universe and reached the holy land of the human race. Tenglong continent. One of the holy places of the human race. Is the holy land of this continent, not the holy land of the human race in the long river of time and space. But it's not much different. The lives bred in the universe now are mostly special lives without ethnic groups. At the peak of the human race, the Great Migration began and entered the life of the universe. The current human races all live in time and space secrets. This is why those special beings have always said that the universe is their hometown, not the territory of the human race at all. After entering the Tamarin continent, human races can be seen everywhere. Without the desolate beasts, this continent is so pleasing to the eye. After came here, Jian Wushuang moved forward in no hurry. Anyway, he hasn't found a way to leave. It's better to travel and live here for a while before talking about it. Tenglong continent. In a small country in the eastern region far away from Zhongzhou, Jian Wushuang turned into a mundane and began a mundane life. In the days of God, the human race's own practice methods were not perfect, he didn't need to learn from practice. Can only wait slowly. This piece of space-time fragments carry a short time, but the space is not small. Such an ancient continent is tens of thousands of times larger than the original universe. Time flies. Jian Wushuang wonders if he can survive the birth of Qishan. It only took 1,000,000 years, and he disappeared from here. When appeared again, it was still a space-time vortex. It's just that now he is wearing an ancient monk's costume, and the jade board is gone. It seems that everything is real. Within 1,000,000 years, he had the opportunity to travel across the Tenglong continent, and he left many opportunities in that holy land of the human race. Although it is only useful to the mundane, it can also change the history of some human races and accelerate the human race to become the pinnacle race. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly, still in the vortex of time and space. Is it necessary for him to experience Morwa time and space before letting him leave? Jian Wushuang teleported again and entered a huge fragment of time and space. Same as last time, after the darkness, he saw the time before him clearly. The village is very desolate. Grass can be seen everywhere, and there is smoke in the hut. This is an ordinary village. There is not a trace of breath nearby. This time, it is the era of chaotic star field. The human race has undergone a great migration and entered the universe. He is in a magnificent universe, although most of them are mundane, but there are already a lot of monks. In this world that is in, there is already an emperor. This is just a middle boundary. Jian Wushuang suddenly appeared, scaring the scalpers in the bullpen next door and screaming. A cowherding child jumped and rushed forward, and when he saw Jian Wushuang dressed up, he was shocked. For these mortals, they have never seen such a clean mundane. Unfortunately, Jian Wushuang is not mundane. Smiled at the child, Jian Wushuang was about to leave directly, calm to meet the emperor. At the beginning in Tamarin continent, he had met several emperors, but their strength was too weak. Also didn't see the robbery realm powerhouse who brought the human race to the top, and didn't have any intersection with those people. He just observed it secretly and left. This time, he felt more than one emperor. There are at least hundreds of emperors in the entire universe sect. And the strength is not weak. In the era of chaotic stars, the gods have risen, and he just took the opportunity to inquire about the gods. Just about to leave, Jian Wushuang stopped again. He looked at the dark-skinned child, and the more he looked, the more familiar he became, and he felt that he had seen the child there. "Your last name is Bai?" Jian Wushuang asked tentatively. The child watched Jian Wushuang talk to him, and was not afraid, so he said naughty, "Why should I tell you?" Jian Wushuang just flipped his palm, and there was a bunch of candied haws in his hand, and asked again, "What's your name?" "White Gooden." The child didn't think his hands were dirty, so he grabbed the candied haws instead of holding a lot like Jian Wushuang. Chapter 56:16. Jian Wushuang touched the child's head with one hand and couldn't help laughing. This child should be the ancestor of King White or his father. It looks so much like that face of King Bai. When the people in the house heard the laughter, they thought someone was coming and walked out, but only saw the child standing outside the cowshed, holding a tuft of cow dung and licking it. "Dugan, are you stupid?" The woman who came out walked into the house worrying about Gugan's ears, cursing as she walked. "You idiot, you haven't eaten enough before, eat with cow dung, later your second uncle will come, thinking that my old lady can't support you." After cursing, the woman was still a little confused. She kicked Godon twice and said, "This time your second uncle is here, you are ready to take you into the city and go to Swordsman as a disciple. You give me something brilliant, did you hear me?" Jian Wushuang, who flew into the clouds, couldn't help but smile. This feeling is amazing. He now understands why his teacher Xuanyi said he was waiting for him in the future. I am afraid that Xian Yi also used this method to enter their time and space. This also shows that their time and space will be broken in the future. In other words, Xian Yi has other offices entering a certain period of time and selecting descendants from a certain time in the past. He was a little different, but wanted to pry into the future from the timeline of the past. See what the gods are planning. Recovery is not that simple, it can be very complicated. What kind of power is needed? He is also very defensive. The breath leaked out, this time he didn't need to take the initiative to look for it. As long as a breath of emperor broke out, he could attract the emperor and powerful person here in person. On a Qingya peak, Jian Wushuang stopped in place. Suddenly an aurora appeared in the pale blue sky, but an extravagant man wearing a high crown appeared in an instant. "Dare to ask your name, why did you appear in this dojo?" The nobleman was condescending, very arrogant. Jian Wushuang slowly raised his hand, but with a claw in the void, he grabbed the nobleman into his hand. "I ask you one sentence, you answer one sentence. Dare to conceal it, I will make you die and not die again." The threatening tone made Jian Wushuang very useful. The emperor and strong man did not dare to breathe when he was frightened, because the breath of his whole body was suppressed by Jian Wushuang. This extravagant man is just a third-order emperor, and the origin Dao is still very weak. It seems to be only the fourth-rank origin Dao. With this kind of stuff, let alone the 4 secret realms of the Qishan Temple, even the current primitive universe has a lot of them, and it is not worthy to serve him tea. "Senior, forgive me, I said so." The extravagant man immediately begged for mercy. The gap between the two sides is too great. Even his master, I am afraid that there is no such strong pressure. "What is your name? Who is master?" "Junior, my master is Huangdi's friend, Zhu Hua Taoist." Jian Wushuang grinned and said, "You are threatening me." As he kept on exerting force, Wu Tong's face was flushed, already turning purple. "The junior dare not, I just tell the truth. For the sake of your resemblance to an old friend of mine, I will spare your life." Jian Wushuang threw Wu Tong out. Wu Tong Wuzhua. He was really afraid that the other party had anything to do with Wuzhua. After all, he is an emperor with an unusual background, and their descendants are likely to shine in the age of Qishan. On the contrary, he was very interested in the Huangdi that the other party said. Qishan Temple, the wild of the 3 major gods. This divine lord had saved the great wilderness at the beginning. He remembered it clearly. Now it's only the emperor, but you can ask the other party about the matter of Morwo's time and space, and inquire about the gods by the way. Huang's breath was very strong, and he could clearly feel that this time he had hidden his breath and began to approach Huang's direction. He hides his breath, no one in this universe can discover. In this era, few people can find him. In this era, there are probably not many humans in the tribulation realm, and the strength is relatively weak. In just an hour, he reached the realm where the waste was. It's not that it's very close, but it's flying in the primitive universe, much faster than in the long river of time and space, without any resistance. Because the space of the primitive universe is more pure, not as heavy as in the long river of time and space, and time is condensed in the space. It is very difficult to destroy, and the flight becomes extremely slow. At close range, Jian Wushuang could see Huang's strength at a glance, and he was absolutely perfect. The time recorded in the book should be at the end of the star random era, when Huang became a tribulation realm, and then followed the gods into a new era. In the first generation of the gods, the gap between the three gods and the gods is not big. The more the later the difference, the more obvious the gap. When the Qixin became the seven tribulations realm, the three major gods were only the five tribulations realm. There is only one person, the smallest difference from the of disbelief, and that is the extinction. Jian Wushuang really wanted to find the old guy, take the opportunity to clean up, and relieve his anger. And also urge the other party to help a person named Jian Wushuang in the future. It's a pity that he couldn't find extinction at all. Maybe this guy has changed his name. It would be troublesome if the opponent was found to be defeated by the tribulation realm. Forget it, let's go find a silly chat first. As soon as it arrived, Jian Wushuang felt a violent force fighting. Kindness. Jian Wushuang looked down the direction, and Huang Zheng was fighting with Huang Zheng on a huge arena. The strength of that desolate beast is not weak, much stronger than the eight-clawed beast emperor who fought against Broly. Already had the power to complete perfection, but unfortunately encountered a shortage. Keep being ravaged. Jian Wushuang saw the rise, and flew directly over. In the battle, Huang put all his heart and soul into it, and didn't find Jian Wushuang at all, or some emperors who watched the battle found Jian Wushuang. You. Who are you? The surrounding emperors, all had digits, and instantly stopped Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang put his index finger to his mouth to signal these people not to disturb the fighting Huang. Under his threat, these people actually chose to shut up very obediently, and just stood there and looked at Jian Wushuang. At the same time, there are countless dazzling daggers floating around his neck. They dared to make a sound. Jian Wushuang didn't mind, killing a few emperors in advance to cheer. The wasteland in the field is like an ancient savage, barefoot with loose hair, and a stone axe in his hand. With every axe, that barren beast must be injured. 17th axe. Huang shouted angrily. After cutting it down again, the desolate beast wailed, completely silent. A wild beast comparable to the perfect consummation just fell so small under the unpretentious axe. Chapter 56:17. Huang walked to the waste beast's corpse, drew out the giant axe inlaid on the waste beast's corpse with one hand, wiped it, and pinned the axe to his waist. At this moment, he realized that someone was watching him. And it's a strong man you don't know, just like a black hole. Who? Huang turned his head and stared at Jian Wushuang. His eyes turned, and the breath of the person in front of him converged extremely cleverly. He only found out when he reached him in a daze. I looked carefully, but found that the introverted aura, like a black hole, swallowed all the power in the body. Shortage. Jian Wushuang was also surprised when he saw the other party. The appearance of the other party and the axe in his hand surprised him greatly. He was so familiar with the axe. Once scenes in the starry sky appeared, he thought of the savage giant who was born on the wild planet. I thought of the owner of the stone axe at the time of parting. Dong Jun. Jian Wushuang muttered to himself, that starry sky human race should have been a dream. The result appeared in the time and space of Molo. He couldn't be more familiar with the stone axe in Huangdi's hand. He absolutely did not admit his mistake. It was definitely the one in Dongjun's hand. How would it appear here? When Huang heard Jian Wushuang reciting Dongjun silently, he was taken aback and said in surprise, "Do you know Senior Dongjun?" "No, an old friend." Jian Wushuang nodded and then asked back, "How do you know Dongjun, And how did you get this great axe? Those immortal emperors were relieved to see Jian Wushuang and Huang Di actually know each other. In their view, Jian Wushuang's strength is extremely powerful. If he wants to attack them, I am afraid that they will be killed in a short while. Huang held the giant axe in his hand, looked up at the sky, then looked at Jian Wushuang and said, "Are you a man of God?" God. Since the broken of God, the era of God has also ended. Huang's stone axe came from God. It is not an exaggeration to say that it was bestowed by God. The brokenness of God is a catastrophe for heaven and earth, and it is also an opportunity for practitioners. Because in God, there are countless treasures and countless inheritances hidden. These inheritances and treasures are scattered everywhere in the long river of time and space, forming a mysterious realm of stars. That is the current chaotic star field. The stone axe in Huang's hand was obtained from the chaotic star field. In addition to this stone axe, he also got an arm. The arm clung to the stone axe. After understanding why Huang got the stone axe, Jian Wushuang had even greater doubts in his heart, so that he didn't even bother to ask about the gods. This stone axe comes from God, and the so-called God has a high probability of being a treasure house left over from the previous era, or a secret hiding place that descended from the starry sky. If it is really like this, then Dongjun and the former star are much longer than Morwa time and space in ancient times. Looking at the secret text on the stone axe, it is definitely the secret text of the universe. This also shows that the star he once visited and the powerful life that gave birth to the Lord of the universe. It's just now and died. Jian Wushuang didn't expect that he would go to an even more ancient time and space without realizing it. Only at that time, he didn't know much about time and space. What's more, when he left the star, there was not even a fairy from above. He never expected that the star could multiply to such a degree. "Can you show me?" Jian Wushuang asked. Huang was also very angry and passed the stone axe directly. After receiving the stone axe, Jian Wushuang's thought power deepened, and the power of the starry sky burst out from his hands in an instant. After the stone axe was subjected to the power of the starry sky, its power was billions of times stronger than before. That force directly shattered the formation of the cage ring. Huang was also surprised that Jian Wushuang could fully explode the power of the stone axe, and his body was shaken back again and again. "Senior." Huang knelt down directly. Jian Wushuang's temples flew up, but the stone axe let out a hum, as if it was the joy of returning to the original owner. In fact, he is not the original owner. The first-generation owner of this stone axe was the owner who opened the sky and the earth. He wasn't considered a second-generation master, he simply repaired it and gave it to Dongjun. Unexpectedly, this little guy could actually nurture this stone axe into such a powerful treasure. Dongjun's strength, to say nothing, is also a power above the three tribulations realm. Only by mastering the universe and becoming the master of the universe can the treasures of the universe be nurtured. Ordinary robbery can't be done. Dongjun is so powerful, what about his cheap apprentice? Fu Zhu, the first-generation patriarch of the human race. Dongjun can become the lord of the universe. I am afraid Fu Zhu's strength will not be too bad. But it should have fallen. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang's self-confidence burst in his heart, and his apprentice is likely to be the master of the universe. His disciples and grandchildren, maybe they are all the masters of the universe. Except for this stone axe, what else did you get? Jian Wushuang asked curiously. He now wants to know more and more about what is conceived in God. Huang carefully took the stone axe and replied respectfully. At first, the junior was lucky and entered into a crack in time and space. Then he entered a half-plane planet. On the planet, there is only a broken arm and a stone axe. After speaking, Huang took out the severed arm directly. The power contained above was very powerful. Jian Wushuang looked at the severed arm deeply, and the more he looked at it, the more familiar it became. This broken arm is just a simple physical body, without a divine body. But the density of the flesh is very similar to his flesh. It is definitely the body of the 9 refinements. Jian Wushuang stretched out his hand and stroked it carefully. Feeling it, his brow frowned. He felt a familiar force from his arm. That is the power of the fusion of the flesh and the divine body, as well as the familiar original aura. This is especially his own arm. Jian Wushuang directly backed away a few steps, then stared at the lines on his palm, then stared at the palm of his hand. The pattern on the top is exactly the same as the pattern on the palm of his hand. What is the explanation for this? An arm is nothing to him. However, the arm was obviously chopped off by a stone axe, which explains the problem. In the past, he seemed to have had a big battle with Dong Jun and eventually broke his arm. The stone axe, calm also stayed. But it is not very accurate to speculate like this. After he left the starry sky, he has never been to the starry sky again, which doesn't make sense. Could it be said that in the future he will go to the starry sky and then fight Dong Jun, and his arm will be chopped off by the opponent? Either this is the reason. Either this arm is not his. But the breath of the source will not deceive him. The breath of the source is too similar to him. Life force. Jian Wushuang thought of this and suddenly understood. Dong Jun probably did not fight with him, but died. End of this chapter. That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.